Hello, everybody.
I'm in a much peppier mood than Mr. Moore is. Do you want to tell everyone what you did?
I didn't go to bed.
He didn't go to bed last night. Not that he didn't try to go to bed, but
Yay, insomnia.
Mr. Moore has insomnia, in case anyone is wondering why he looks
once or twice a month I don't get to go to bed. I have to stay up an extra day.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah, it's kind of stinky. And yes, we've tried medications and valerian root and all the crazy things that are suggested.
Everything. The medications, just like we were talking about with the antidepressants in the last one, they make me feel terrible.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Ella, Catherine, Dolly Duke. Oh, and there's Lisa. Let's see. Megan. What was that question? I want to scroll back up.
Let's go.
Starla, I'm stoked to have joined HDU. Will your couples boot camp HDU bonus be emailed out? I'm not seeing it in the bonus section. Yes, that's a summer boot camp. So it will be emailed to you this summer. Okay, so you're not going to get it until summer, but when you get it, it's going to be kind of big. I want to give you guys.
It's going to take us some time because we're still kind of in the process of developing it.
Right. So it's meant to be like a summer program when your kids are home and you want to kind of like manage life and family when your children are home. But for those of you who did not enroll in HTU and did not get the Alpha bonus, that will actually be moved into. Look at Bubbers. Hi, Bubbers.
Why, hello.
That will actually be moved into the Handmade Alpha Academy when that opens. So if you plan to join the Handmade Alpha Academy later this spring, when that's opened, it'll be in there later.
Animals are crazy today, so apologies in advance.
Yeah, they're going nuts, and I don't know why. Is there like a full moon tonight? No, I don't think so.
And we have had a lot of people asking us about the Alpha bonus as well, like if they're going to get it or not. And I think there's some confusion if you want to elaborate on that too.
So for those of you who joined, which HTU enrollments are closed now, they're completely closed. Renee does not open them for another year. Like no exceptions. I've been an HTU student since 2015 and she has never opened HTU, after she says she's closing it for the year. But for those of you who are wondering about the Alpha bonus, if you claimed Renee Christine's bonus for Pinterest Academy during she did another webinar, you are not eligible for the Alpha bonus because you can only claim one bonus at a time. And if you are doing the new monthly payment plans where she's offering like, actually month by month for the year, you also are not eligible for that bonus only because that is a brand new thing that she just rolled out to help those of you who weren't able to actually afford those full payments, but it wasn't able to pass on to the partnership. So, but if you are doing, I think it's the 6-month payment plan, I believe it's 6 month, or you paid in full and you're still wondering why you didn't get the Alpha bonus, you'll need to message Carrie from HTU and she'll help you out with that. And we have information about that posted in the Handmade Alpha Facebook community. I don't want this to like drone on and on, especially since HTU isn't open right now. It closed last night.
And for any of you guys that joined HTU that wanted the other bonus over ours using Renee's link,
absolutely,
no big deal. We don't. It's no skin off my back. There went my brain. There's that tired brain going, it'll be included with our course as well.
Yeah.
So anybody that signs up for our course, you'll automatically get that with the bonuses for our course as well. So if you're an HTU student, you took Renee's bonus over ours and you plan on taking our course, you're going to get that with our course as well.
Right. So just wanted to throw out those disclaimers first thing this morning. Another thing, could you post in the comments? Because we had a lot of people say that they were sending stuff to our PO box last week and we checked it multiple times last week and we haven't found anything. So if you sent anything, please let us know. That way we know if maybe, people just didn't send anything or if our PO box is messed up. Because if you didn't send it, that's fine. We just need to know that there's nothing wrong with the PO box.
Yeah, we were expecting a couple people to send some stuff because they had told us they were sending stuff. So we just want to make sure there's nothing goofy going on.
Right. We want to make sure that nothing is showed up in not even like some spam mail for us is showed up in the PO box. So we just want to make sure. And if you guys are wondering about the PO box, that is down below. We have a list of guidelines for that you can read through. Basically what we're doing is we're starting some new videos once we accumulate enough fan mail, which these can be products that you make. It can be, just stuff local to your area. But basically, we're going to be putting fan mail items on the back wall that we created. And you guys are able to send us your handmade products. Just be sure to include a business card, please, if you want to shout out. If not, we're not trying to get free products because most of them are going to be pulled into an alpha giveaway. So when you send us a product, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go on our wall unless it's something very custom for us. If it's something, that we think that the alphas would enjoy for the giveaways, we might put it in there instead. So good morning, Alicia. Woo, finally got a Friday off to watch. Awesome. Heather, hi, first I've caught. Awesome. We have a lot of new people here this morning, I've noticed. So
well, hello, all you new people.
Hello, everybody. So for those of you who are new, we hang out for the first 10 minutes, which we're down to like less than 5 now. And then we get into the meat of our discussion, which today it's going to be craft fairs and vendors events. So we'll be jumping into that. I have a big list for you guys. While you have a few minutes, if you're planning to do a craft fair, you might want to grab a pen because I'm going to be going over a really detailed list of questions that you should ask the event coordinator before you book your event. I'll be going over some crazy things that you probably never thought to bring with you to a craft fair. I kind of think of it more of as like a first aid kit of items that you should keep with you just in case. I've had my fair share of horrible craft fair nightmares, and I'll be sharing those with you as well. So doing one tomorrow. Awesome. That's super duper cool.
Enjoy.
Anybody else have craft fairs booked? It is craft fair season. Like it has officially started, not necessarily in our area because it's so cold, but for those warmer areas, craft fair season definitely is in full swing. If you need to find a craft fair for your local area, you can usually find a nice big list on Google. If if this is your first time, if you're interested in doing craft fairs, but you don't know much about it, just Google your hometown and Google vendors event, craft event, craft fair, and you can usually find a decent list of events where you can do those. And some of those events are going to have another form of entertainment. Some of them are.
Mark? I'm right here. Can you not see me?
I see hiding. He's right here. Where can you see all of us?
Can you see me?
Is he gone? Am I the only one here? Yes, it starts in April.
Maybe they're confused because I don't have my hat on.
Oh, no. Bubbers, what are you doing? Sorry about that. The cat just jumped down, and now another cat is playing with things that she shouldn't be playing with. So farmers market in May. Can't wait. Missing my weekly chats. I've been doing craft fairs for 13 years, but always good to brush up before my season starts. That is awesome. You are far more experienced with craft fairs than we are. So maybe you have some tips that you could share down in the comments. All right, guys, it looks like we have 88 viewers this morning, and it is, let's see, we got about 2 minutes before we start. How is everybody doing today? Is everyone excited for the weekend? I'm excited to get some.
Answered whether they could hear me or not. Can you guys hear me or see me? Anything? Am I just a freaking ghost today?
I see you over here.
I know. I see me too.
I'm
way more alarmed than I should be because I've been up for like 26 hours now.
Why is the cat? The cat is freaking me out. And nobody's answering. Is he here? Yes.
Okay, loud and clear. Cool.
Okay.
Just making sure I haven't gone like completely crazy from staying up all night.
Okay. You're
there was another.
You're triggering his like paranoia.
Yeah, I'm so tired. Hannah said we're an hour early, aren't we? Is it due to save daylight savings? Yeah, we've already switched our clocks over here. So
yes. So if you guys,
it's a government conspiracy. I'm not gonna get into that. It's so stupid.
I don't like waking up.
How dare my government take an hour away from me?
I like it getting dark later in the day, but I do not like waking up and it being.
All right, y'all gonna play like that? It's on my computer. I have the power button.
Mark, yeah, he can push the big red button and then everything but it might hurt the computer.
So just like a short, flat black button with white dots on it.
Yeah, the big power button. You're coming in loud and clear. All right,
good.
Awesome.
Loud.
It's gonna get weird because he's
just tired. Forgive me if I say anything stupid today, because yeah.
You mean more so than any other day, right?
I have something to do while I'm not talking now.
Your fidget spinner. Where's my fidget spinner? I need a fidget spinner too. Ow, my knee.
Break the dang desk.
I don't care about the desk. I hurt my knee. All right. Yes.
The comments sometimes cover him. Oh, okay.
That's weird.
That's fine. I'm not going to be doing much talking today anyway, other than some rhetoric and some hate speech that you guys love so much.
We get a lot of complaints.
I hope you guys understand that that is entirely intentional.
Like
I've even gotten some people like legitimately getting offended. You have to take what I say with a grain of salt when I'm saying something offensive or jokingly.
You're not even that offensive. It's just the comedic relief. A lot of people think that he's generally just this really angry, mad, hateful person, and he's not. He's literally just being goofy. What is that?
I think the cats might be breaking something.
Oh, man.
His hand was covering his beard to his baby. His baby face was showing.
His baby face?
I'm offended. They're offended. That's how I am. I like insult comedy. That's my favorite type of comedy. So if I say something that's offensive, I promise you, it's probably not serious. Like what was the people were getting offended over? Like the overalls and stuff like that when we were talking about the fashion trends. People hated me in that video. I don't know why.
That fashion trends video. It's
that was done entirely on purpose, just so any of you that were offended understand.
Everyone said that I had to have a talk with him afterwards. I'm like, everyone says that you're really dampening the mood.
It's like the same thing when my Air Force mentors had a talk with me. It was so effective. But anyway,
everyone's like, LOL. All right, guys. Looking forward to learning the differences of U.S. markets to here in the UK. I don't actually know, other than like the taxes, which we aren't going to be getting into the tax information. I will give you guys I will tell you guys that you need to look up the information for your area. But once again,
it's already coming close to tax time. So you should we have our appointment set up because we schedule ours at the end of the tax bracket every year. But ours has been scheduled since last year, but you should already kind of have your appointment scheduled and everything by now. For sure.
Definitely for our US people. And we will not be doing any tax related anything because it's a liability to us because we are not experts. So yeah, look for an expert, look for somebody who knows their stuff. I'm not saying that we don't know our stuff for our particular niche. However, this is completely subjective to state, to county. It completely depends. And you guys got to look up that information for your area. Otherwise, it's not going to help you any. All right. So
Jim Jeffries is a comedian I would like. Yeah, probably. George Carlin's by far my favorite comedian.
Oh, ever. I love George Carlin.
And then what's the guy that just recently got in trouble for pulling his wiener out in wrong places?
Louis C.K.
I don't know why anybody was surprised, but Louis C.K. is also another one of my favorites.
That was a disturbing story, but we won't go into that.
It wasn't one. It was like a bunch of different people.
Yeah, everyone should stop.
I don't know why anybody.
Comedians need to stop. Bill Cosby and all those comedians. I mean, I know that a lot of people say that they didn't do it, but whatever the heck is going on, whether they did it or not, it just needs to stop.
My thought process is if you walk into a hotel room with a comedian like Louis C.K., you're gonna expect some weird crap to happen.
Yeah, maybe just don't go into hotel rooms with comedians and not expect something weird to happen. That's
like going to a Gabriel Iglesias comedy show and then immediately afterwards not expecting to eat cake with the guy if you got a VIP pass. That's just not.
He literally gets like 100 chocolate cakes.
That's what I'm saying. Like he talks about getting cakes and then he eats cakes with people. Louis C.K. talks about some really controversial stuff. So therefore, expect some weird crap to happen behind the scenes. Anyway, go ahead and
let's your thing. Here we go again. Every freaking day. We try to do this. We try
every day.
Live isn't on YouTube. Yes, we are on YouTube and we are live. Anyway, yeah, we do this every time we try to stream. Something controversial comes up and somebody gets mad. So if we've made you mad,
don't care.
If we've made
you guys can rip me out all you want because you can't really offend me. So
yeah, I mean, no, someone called you a hobbit. You got super offended.
They were calling me out. That's different.
Yeah. I can't get offended unless
it ended up being a nice comment, but
all right, we're like 5 minutes past. YouTube isn't working. Refresh. Refresh. All right, guys, let's trigger warning.
Hashtag snowflake alert. Some people don't like that term. I probably shouldn't have used that.
I don't know. I think I define myself as one of those snowflakes sometimes, but whatever. I don't even care. Things upset me, but I don't talk about it that much. So let's talk about craft shows, guys. Get out of this controversial mindset. Since everybody's ready for some positivity this weekend, we're going to start our weekend out right. So
I'm going to bed at 7 o'clock.
You are going to bed at 7 o'clock. I am probably going to sit up with the child. Let's talk
script, because
yes.
Anybody want to take a guess to how much she has left to do? Just
for Handmade Alpha Academy?
Just take a quick guess.
I'm on module 8
of 9.
Of 9. Writing, not recording.
Writing. As soon as the writing is done, we'll begin recording. We just have to purchase a couple of things and we'll be good. But it's all digital. So she's got about a module and a half left.
All right. And we'll keep you guys posted on dates as soon as we're not comfortable giving out dates yet.
No, we don't want to give out dates because we don't know how long recording's going to take. We think it's only going to take like a month, but
we don't know.
It could end up taking till like December for some stupid reason.
It won't.
One thing or another. It won't, but
it could.
Karma.
But it won't.
Karma.
All right, so let's talk about some questions that you guys should be asking before you book a craft fair or vendors event. And these are questions that I guess I never thought to ask. And these are kind of the questions that led to problems and nightmares in our own craft fair experiences. These are the questions that I wished I'd asked, and the questions that I see, some of my friends who do craft fairs where just things will go totally wrong. And I think, man, we could have foreseen this if we would have just sent an email to the event coordinator before we booked this show. So I'm going to go over this big, nice, long list. If you guys want to write these down, might be a good idea. Jot them down in a text document if you're on your computer. But these are the questions to ask the event coordinator before you book that craft fair.
And I think it'd be safe to keep in mind the fact that when it comes to these kind of things, unless they're like a big city hosted thing, if it's like a local thing done at a school or a community center, it's usually not some kind of professional community organizer that does these things. It's usually just somebody that volunteers. Right. So just keep that in mind, that these questions, I guess, keep the worst case scenario in your head when you're asking these kind of questions, because you never know who's going to be the person that's organizing these things. And
or answering those questions.
Exactly. Things can get messy. So be as specific as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Does anyone have video or audio? I think everybody does. Let us, can you guys hear us? Can we make super
I'll
sure?
prove it. I think it's possible.
Yeah.
I hear me.
Okay. I think that she...
No, just refresh.
Tell her to refresh.
Doesn't really help if she...
Tell her to refresh. All right, guys. So the first question that you should ask your event coordinator, first of all, is there a fee? Is there a fee for my booth? Are you taking a percentage of my sales? What type of payment do you accept? Does it need to be a check? Can I pay with a card? Can I pay with cash? And when is that payment due? I've been to tons of craft fairs where you have to pay, beforehand, but I've also had some where they're like, "Oh, just pay me after the event." And it's just been chaos, especially I've had some events where they say, "Pay me afterwards." And I think, "Oh, cool. I'm going to make, some money from this event, and I'm going to take the cost of my booth right out of the money that I make." Nobody shows up to the event, and then it's really, really stressful. So find out what type of payments they accept, when that payment is due, what the fee is, if they are taking a % of your sales, and if there is a fee for the booth. And if it is, subjective to booth sizes, because sometimes your booth, is priced by its size. So some also take PayPal. Exactly. You can usually PayPal them the money. And then obviously, if you're handing them cash, make sure that they're giving you a receipt. Not only do you need that for your taxes, you need that receipt to prove that you paid. If for any reason they want to come back at you and say, "I don't know, I can't remember you paying," you have that physical receipt. So make sure that they write anything on a piece of paper that says that you did it.
Alex D said also fees for electricity. We don't use any electricity in ours. So I think that's another thing we forgot to mention, is that some of these things are going to vary wildly depending on what you do.
Yeah, but I've seen a lot.
But they're mostly general questions that we're referring to.
I've seen some craft fairs where you actually have to pay to use the outlets.
I'm
not a fan of that, but it is a possibility.
Charge somebody $10 for 15 cents worth of electricity.
Yeah.
Phone charging. Yeah. You got to have your phone, especially if you're using a swiper.
Right. We'll be getting into that in a few minutes. So if there's an emergency, is my payment refundable? I think that this is a really important one, because if you're paying, say, some of these booths are expensive. If you're paying like $300 for a booth and your kid breaks their arm,
or a couple grand in some cases.
Yeah. You got to know, like, for one, is the full payment can I get my full payment refunded? What's the time frame that I need to report that I need this refund? Can I get the full refund? Am I able to get a % back? It's usually just a good idea to find that out ahead of time, because you never know what could happen. So that's another really big one. Am I provided with a table? Holy cow, you would not believe how many events that I have booked where I have no idea if I get a table. I don't know.
The very first one, we ended up not getting a table and had to go out and buy one of those cheap, well, not cheap, but like the $75 fold-out tables from Walmart.
Yeah. And another thing that you should be asking is, if they do provide tables, how many tables do I get? Am I entitled to a certain number? Is there a fee for my table? Is there a fee for additional tables? For us, I know it takes 2 tables for us to house everything that we need to display. Back when we did vendors fairs, which we don't anymore, because we don't really have the time for it. But we did all of our events in California, and we had a giant, not a paper mache, but a cloth mache dragon that we made for the events. And this thing was huge. It was like as big as a person, but I needed another table for him because everyone wanted a picture with him. Everyone wanted to take a selfie with the big dragon. So he would draw in that attention, but I needed a whole separate table just for the dragon.
Yeah.
So
you have to have something to draw people. You can't just cram all of your stuff onto a table and say, here it is, here I am.
You have to have
have displays. You have to have ways to advertise your products out. I mean, obviously it's different if you do like soaps and stuff like that, then you organize them by color and shape and that kind of thing, collection,
right,
that kind of stuff. But I mean, most people are going to need something, like if you sell clothing, or I know a lot of people sell the crocheted items. If you're selling crocheted items, you're going to want a way to display those. You're going to need the space for it.
Right. How many events do you do, Starla? I don't do any anymore.
None anymore.
I used to do a bunch in California. I did BealCon, which was our Air Force Base Beal. We did like a Comic-Con style event. I did all of our base events every time there was a vendor's fair. And then I've done some smaller events for schools. I've done a ton. And then someone else commented chairs too. That's another thing that you need to secure.
Oh God.
Chairs. Yes. Make sure We've done
a couple that we just stood for friggin' 6 to 8 hours.
Yeah. Ugh. Make sure that you're
miserable,
that you're either provided with a chair, or that you need to bring a chair with you, and make sure that there's no fee for those chairs.
Or if they'll let you bring a friggin' chair in.
Yeah.
Some places have crazy guidelines. Just make sure you understand what their guidelines are.
Right. And then another big one that I have only failed to find out once was, is this an indoor or outdoor event? And fortunately, I thought it was outdoor and I was actually indoor, which isn't as bad. But for those of you who sell products like soap, and say your event is on a 100-degree day, and your soap is out in the hot sun baking and condensating, it's probably good to know ahead of time if you're vending indoors or outdoors, because there is a whole other slew of questions to ask and things to prepare for, depending on whether you are indoor and outdoor, which we will also be getting in. Do
you have any advice on how to display items and what resources to go to? Just make sure everything is clean and cohesive. Everything kind of flows. Realistically, it'd be hard to give any one particular person advice, because it's going to be different depending on the product you sell. Like I said earlier, the difference between like jewelry, bath and body products, the knitted products, clothing, prints, all that different kind of stuff. It's going to vary wildly depending on what you do. Just make sure it's easy to look at and it's nice to look at and it draws attention, I guess, would be the most important things to consider with that.
What I did when I designed my table, first of all, I bought pretty much everything for my booth at Goodwill, and I pretty much like repainted everything myself and made my own displays. But one of the best things that I did when I was researching how to kind of bring my table together was I got on Pinterest and I just searched craft fair booth ideas, and there are tons of them for every different type of product. There are DIY projects for displaying your products. There's a million different ways. Check Pinterest. That is by far the best place to look for photo examples without having to click a bunch of links. You can just see them all on one page, and you usually don't even have to click into those websites, because you can just look at those photos and get a visual example. So another one that is really important to ask if you are outdoors is, am I provided with a canopy? This one is so... I've done so many events in California, and we had one at...
Oh, God. It's like 115 degrees outside.
Yeah. I had one in California where it was so hot, and I was not provided with a canopy. And in my early days, pretty much all of my keys used to be steampunk. I've now leaned more on the fantasy side, but I had this entire steampunk getup where I wore a real corset, like the kind that you cannot breathe in.
Sexy that day.
I was sexy and sweaty.
Bobbles and bits, and the cat is gonna get into the freaking water.
Yeah, probably. He's in the bag. He's in the bag. Anyway, but yeah, I was so hot and sweaty, and it was just a nightmare. And not only that, it was like so hot and disgusting. Is he really wearing the bag? Bubbers. Silly Bubbers. Come sit down with Bubbers. He obviously wants attention.
He only does this crap when he wants to be held or something.
But anyway,
chill right here.
Do you have any pictures of your table setting? I do. I can post them in that Handmade Alpha Facebook community later.
No.
But anyway, yeah, find out if you're provided with a canopy and if you need to buy a canopy. If you are outside, no matter what product you have, if it is a sunny day, I highly recommend you spending the money and buying that canopy. And that is a tax write-off. So be sure to get that. Another one, how long will I have to actually set up, and what time can I get there? I know that for me, my display, because I have so many itty bitty tiny keys, it took me an average of about 3 hours to completely set up my entire display from start to finish, carrying everything from the car to the event and getting my tables and everything set up and getting my items price stickered. So I got there right when they opened. And then if I had some downtime, I used that time to talk to the vendors around me, get to know them. And I'll talk about why that's so important later. So make sure that you get an exact time that you can show up, and show up as early as you can. Like, make sure that you're showing up very early. It's better to be sitting for an extra hour, chilling out, waiting for the event to start, than to be setting up until the last minute. And I have personally done both. Yeah, we've had some where we were literally sitting, like finishing setting up as people were coming into the event. It is so stressful. And then equally as important, is he getting back in the bag? We drank all of our water bottles, and he's trying to climb into the water bottle. Yeah, shove it in your desk drawer.
I'll discover that in like a year. Like, why is there a water bottle in my drawer?
Another
couple people said some things. Get tent weights. Yeah, yes, definitely get tent weights, because you don't want to be that person that everybody's laughing at. And yes, people are laughing at you when your canopy goes flying.
Flies away.
Juried events.
I don't care for juried events.
Fair. It's like, how are you going to compare somebody's soap to somebody's jewelry?
Well, if you're signing up, a lot of people sign up for craft. Like, a lot of the times craft shows are literally that, where they are juried.
No, I understand pre-pricing. Yeah. And I'd say, because you're probably going to get some sob stories about people wanting to buy stuff. So just make sure you have some responses in your head to typical questions you're going to get.
Right.
I only have a 10. Could you do 10 on that $25 product?
Yeah, don't
come up with ways to tell people no nicely.
Right. All right. So let's move right along. We'll try to get to questions at the end. That way we can keep the list going, because I have a lot.
Doctor Who. No, we do not.
Let's see. And nighttime. This is a big one for tearing down. If you're doing an outdoor event, a lot of times it's going to run past dark, or at least your tear down time will. And you need to be asking, even if it is a daytime event, is there going to be any lighting so I can tear down my stuff, when the sun goes down, which has also happened to me.
Or if you're doing anything at night, like if there's a concert or a fair or something that you're doing stuff at night, make sure you have lighting for your stuff.
Right, exactly. You need to ask, if we're outdoors, is there anywhere for me to plug in some lights? Can I bring my own lights? Is there a fee for using any outlets? Should I bring an extension cord? How close is my booth to an outlet? So there's a million questions to go along with that. And then, let's see. We already said that. Okay. Will there be outlets near my booth?
Are they on crack? What are you talking about?
What?
Do we already have a troll in the stream?
I think so. Just
whatever.
We'll do one more chance for
Heyday Dallas 12.
Yeah, one more chance there. Are there outlets near my booth? That's a really big one. I've had one where I had to plug in my phone like halfway across the event. Thankfully, it was indoors.
What Cameron said, make sure you bring a portable charger for sure.
Yeah, a portable
battery bank.
A portable charger, or make sure that there is an outlet really, really close to you. I like to have my laptop up because I like to play like ambient videos that I've created for my product line. Sometimes I'll actually play my product line video on repeat, and people really like that. So if you want to have anything like that, just make sure that you are close enough to an outlet to actually warrant having it. So what booths will be around me? This one is so important. And it's not just what booths, but if you're doing like an event, you need to know what type of attractions are around you. I have 2 examples of this. Sorry, my nose is like really itchy because
so is mine.
I don't know what the deal is. My nose are always itchy. So for the things that are around you, one of my horror stories was I was placed with my very delicate, very tiny keys. I was placed right beside a booth that just happened to be selling children's toys, and it was very bright and colorful, and it attracted all the children. However, those children then came to my booth and they put their hands on all of my jewelry, and a lot of pieces ended up getting dropped and bouncing all over the place, and it was just a mess. So
got stolen.
Yeah, and a lot got stolen, which we'll also be covering later. So that's just one of those things to consider. Make sure that your event coordinator knows what type of product you have. If you have something that cannot be around, another type of product, if, for example, if you sell handmade soap and cosmetic products, you probably don't want to be stuck beside a Mary Kay consultant. There should be an equal balance there where products are kind of spread out. For jewelry, I don't think it matters so much because I think every type of jewelry has a particular style. But I also notice a lot of
I sell soap and I was right next to a hot dog vendor.
Oh, yeah. See, you just have to make sure that you are aware of who's going to be
smell
around
the
you.
soap, but all I can smell is wiener.
Right. Yeah, that's anyway. Oh man,
we use a car battery charger for electricity. It acts as a generator.
That's a great idea, especially if you want to carry all that around yourself. And then another thing for events, we did a Comic-Con style event where we were placed beside a Minecraft maze for children, and the children were running at lightning speed past our booth, and it was just chaotic because every time they ran past it was like we had to hold on to things to make sure that they wouldn't fall off the table. So be aware of what's going to be around you if there are attractions. Another possible scenario is if there's live music. You don't want to be so close to that live music that you cannot communicate with your customers. It's going to be a real pain.
And if you've ever been to like a fair, you've seen that happen.
Yeah, they cram everybody so close. So and express that to the event coordinator. Say, I need to be able to communicate with my customers.
Rosabella also said, I don't like to be near competitors. Yeah, absolutely.
Of course you don't.
Absolutely you don't. Sometimes it's unpreventable.
Right.
And considering that like target markets might be a little bit different. Like we sell fantasy jewelry. Somebody else might sell earrings, just plain regular earrings. So it all just depends.
Let's see. And then
I was next to whatever that is. It worked out though.
Let's see. Do you prefer large craft fairs like Renegade? I assume like Renfests and things, or small craft fairs, school or church. I think that it's an equal balance. Bigger events, of course, you're going to have a bigger turnout, but you're also going to have to pay more. Small events
have to have a lot more inventory and a lot more preparation and a lot more pay up front for the large events.
Right. And then smaller events that you can usually get away with having a smaller booth. You usually don't pay as much and you have that community presence. So it just depends on what you want to aim for, how much inventory you have, and how much you have in your budget to actually pay upfront for your booth. So moving right along, is there air conditioning? This is another big one. If you're selling within, I know that a lot of actual fairgrounds will have big community buildings, but those community buildings usually are not air conditioned. So that is one of those things that you really have to consider. And then also ask if you're allowed to bring your own fan or, portable small AC unit for your area. That way you're not sweating and stinking and everybody's having to deal with your BO, during the event. And not only that, you're dealing with all the vendors around you, their BO. So, which I haven't personally vended at an event like that, but I have visited an event like that. And you could just see everybody was just so sweaty. Everybody's like, you could see the sweat through their clothing and everyone was miserable. It was just such a mess. And then there were hot, steamy food vendors all around. It was just sickening. I hated it.
It's not a real event unless there's somebody making handmade corn dogs.
Yeah.
Am I right?
And then, I love handmade corn dogs.
I love hand-dipped corn dogs.
So good. Another one, how big is the booth space? You need to know exactly how much room you have. Typically, I need 2 tables in order to functionally run an event. But if you are, in an itty bitty booth and you know that you can only have 1 table, you need to be able to plan to downsize your actual display or just bring less product. So you need to know how big those booth sizes are. Oh, wait a minute. How far is parking from that event? This is another really big one that we've had to deal with, where the parking from the event was so far away that we were, literally taking 20 trips back and forth halfway across like a football field size parking lot just to get our products to the event. So it's good to know if you can actually drive up to the event to, kind of set up your booth, if it's outdoor, if there is an area where you can pull up closer to the building, if it's indoor, or if you just have to tote all of that stuff by hand, which will be covering some things that you need in order to tote your things in just a few minutes. Here's another big one. Is the event on pavement or on grass? This one was so funny. Pavement gets hot and grass has bugs. So you need to know where exactly, if you're doing this outdoors, where outdoors it's going to be. I had an event where we were in the grass and I was so eaten up with fleas because I was wearing my little steampunk getup and I had a skirt on. I had so many flea bites from like my knee to my ankle. It was just ridiculous. And I didn't think to bring bug spray. So know where it's going to be. That way you can prepare a little bit better. And that also goes along with shoes. That way you know what type of shoes to wear. Do I need any permits or wholesale certificates? This isn't something that I can give any advice on because this is going to vary depending on where you live.
Maybe.
So you need to look online to see if there is anything that you need for your area and that allows you to vend. And then you need to ask your event coordinator if you need to have that type of identification present with you, or if you need to provide it when you sign up for that event. So do we have any questions to catch on before we go on to our list of what to bring to your event?
I don't think there was anything major.
No major questions? Nothing that we missed?
I mean, maybe, but I don't really see.
That's okay.
I didn't see. I've been kind of watching. I didn't see anything that was super urgent. So.
That's fine. We'll go ahead and we will do questions at the end like we usually do. So, all right, guys, here's my big list of what to bring. So this is like, some of this is out of personal experience. Some of this is, just stuff that I wished I would have brought. Some of this is going to depend on products.
Yeah.
Toilet paper. That would be a great one.
Some events do run out of toilet paper pretty quick.
Or they give you really bad toilet paper. I didn't even put that on there, but that's a really big
one-ply crap. Ugh.
Yeah, Tina, that's a good one. So everyone should write down that idea. That's a really great one.
Just stick your finger up your bum without trying.
Ooh, yeah, that really thin toilet paper that your finger just goes through. Ah, yuck. All right, so things to bring to your event. Obviously, change. Everyone asks me how much change. Standard is $100 in ones, 5s, and 10s. So, and then obviously you should
only
probably
a couple 10s, but mostly 5s.
5s and 1s.
5s and 1s.
And make sure that you actually have physical change as well. And then make sure that you have either a lockbox, or in most cases you want to bring a fanny pack for that money, because that lockbox, depending on how big the event is, that lockbox is a target. And unless you really want to chase after the 18-year-old boy who just took off with your lockbox, like it's probably good to have it on you.
Worst day of that kid's life.
Well, for you, but most of our target audience isn't going to be able to, I know I couldn't run after if some big, huge, punky person decided that they were going to be just a jerk and steal all my money. I probably wouldn't be able to chase them down if I was wearing my steampunk getup and high heels.
Pop off the high heels and beat them down.
Throw the high heel at them. But
you're a mom. You know how to throw a high heel with precision.
But yeah, lockbox or a fanny pack if you're not comfortable. I actually use a lockbox, to be perfectly honest, because I don't vend at events where I'm not surrounded by people I know or where I'm not comfortable. So another big one is a card reader. There's absolutely no reason that you guys by now should not be vending with a card reader. If you're only accepting cash, you're missing out on a lot of sales. In
Most of your sales, probably.
Yeah. So make sure that you have a card reader. You can usually get them for free. Etsy has a great one that will actually deduct straight from your inventory from your shop. There is the PayPal card reader. There's Square. There's a ton of them. And most of them are free, as in like you just send in. I know my PayPal one was completely free, where you just tell them that you need a card reader. They send it to you. You download the app that associates with that card reader, and there you go.
If you haven't sold in an event in a while, make sure that the card reader that you have is still going to be valid to be used. I know that a lot of companies were rolling out their older versions because of chips.
Yes.
So I would just get with whoever your provider is and make sure that you have the most up-to-date version possible.
Right.
Keep your software up to date. Test it out beforehand if you can.
Make sure there's internet.
Yeah, make sure there's internet. Technical difficulties can suck. So just be prepared. Right. Sorry, I had a hiccup there.
And then to go along with that, make sure that you either have a phone or iPad and a charger. That way you can actually use that. And make sure that you download and kind of navigate the app that goes along with that card reader before the event. I would do it the night before or even a couple days before. That way, if you see any problems with it, you can contact the association that issued that card reader to make sure that, you know, you're not finding out at the last minute that it doesn't work. Another big one, obviously, business cards. Make sure that you have business cards at your table. A lot of people say that it's best to hand them out like personally, but I like to do both. I like to keep them on my table for people to just kind of walk by and grab, because sometimes people don't want to talk to you. You can usually tell which people want to talk and which people just want to look real quick, grab a card and walk away. So make sure that you have business cards both where they can reach them. And if you want to do that social interaction, you can actually talk to them, hand them a card, and maintain that eye contact, which kind of, forms that connection where they actually feel more like they should be going to your shop once they get home. They feel more like they're doing that friend-on-friend contact rather than simply grabbing your card off the table and it's just an item to them at that point and they have no connection to you as a person. All right, so here is my kind of first aid kit. This is what I bring to every single event with me. You guys probably have some things that you could add to this, but this is the stuff that I always make sure that I have on hand with me. Tape. I make sure that I have both duct tape and clear Scotch tape, a pair of scissors, twine, like thick twine, some type of rope or twine, because you never know what you're going to need it for, tacks, because you don't know, like actual thumbtacks or push pins. You never know what you're going to need to hang behind you. And then zip ties. Zip ties is a big one because I've noticed that sometimes you don't anticipate needing one. Something will fall apart, especially if you have like a big banner or a sign.
Or like if a kid steals your money.
What?
And you just tie them up.
You just zip tie them? You just zip tie them and call the police? The zip tie the child and call the police?
That's right.
I don't think
this child.
What is that? Citizen's arrest. Citizen's arrest on the child.
Arrest their parents too.
Don't do that. Please don't do that. Just
don't be me.
Don't be him. Another big one is a notepad and pen. You never know what you're going to need to write down. And I will also have some more information, more examples of why you might need a notebook and pen here in just a few minutes. Tablecloth. If you're using tables that they've rented or that you've rented, sometimes those tables, for one, won't go along with what you're selling. I've been at events where I get these ugly, just awful wooden tables that do not match my brand image. And then I've also been at events.
Definitely bring something to cover that crap up. It's so ugly.
Yeah, those old like
pliers to cut the zip ties at the end of the show. No, that's the vendor's problem. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I'm just kidding. That's the douchiest thing ever. Don't do that.
Right. And then
scissors don't always cut it out. Yeah,
that's true. And then obviously those tables that you're renting can also be really dirty, and you just don't want to be vending on a dirty table. It's nasty. And you might even be eating that lunch at your lunch at that table. So price tags for everything. This is my biggest pet peeve when it comes to going to a vendor's event. I'm looking at products. I'm like, wow, this is cool. And maybe one or two of them will have a price tag, or maybe none of them will. And that vendor expects you to ask for the price.
Yeah, like if there's 5 other people standing around looking at products, like, I don't want to sit there and wait for them to be done conversating with you to ask you what the price is and then determine what I'm going to spend on it. It's rude.
Right.
It's rude to the person that's going to, like, if I've got 100 other booths to stop at, like, if you don't take the time to, put prices out, unless you have like custom items, I guess, but you could still do like $100 to whatever your price range. Like, I'm not going to take my time to go through your stuff because I'm going to have to waste my time talking to you.
Right.
Not to sound antisocial, but it's like I'm there to have fun and look at all the people's stuff. I don't want to have to talk to somebody to understand what I'm going to be potentially paying. I might not even be buying the thing.
Right. And a lot of people aren't comfortable. A lot of people don't want to ask, so they'll just walk away. So
yeah,
make sure
if there isn't a price on it, you can't afford it. That's a good general rule of thumb.
Right. And then, so price tags for everything, even the smallest products, make sure everything has a price. Now, another big one that I recommend is having something for the kids. Even if you're not, unless you're selling like some funky adult products where you don't want kids at your booth, make sure that you're actually selling a product that warrants having children at your booth, but then have something that draws children there. Because if the children want to come to the booth to get a sucker or a sticker or whatever you have out for them, the parents are going to walk over too. So that's just one of those cool things. Not to mention it keeps the kids happy while the parent shops. So have something cool for the kids. And, the parents, it might not even just be parents. It might just be, people who are walking by who want to grab a sucker too. And that draws them to your booth as well. So I always do the Dum Dum Pops, like the actual little Dum Dum lollipops. That's actually what they're called for anybody who isn't in the US and doesn't have Dum Dum Pops.
Sen Cross said price tags, like sticking it right beside the item, and people still ask, how much does this cost? See, the thing you got to understand is that like at least a fourth of the world is stupid. So like you just got to take into consideration that there's a good chance one of 4 people that walk up to your booth is just not going to be smart. It's
not just that they're not stupid. They're just not observant.
Everybody's in the rush and the heat of getting around through the event, and they'll miss a price tag or something like that. And I mean, if you want to be funny, you just point at it,
right,
and make them feel stupid. I love that.
I don't just point at it. I say, oh, my prices, all these little cards are my prices. So just,
we do that to each other. We'll be in a booth and like one of us will say like, oh, I wonder how much this is. And it'd be like, well, the price tag's right there.
Yeah. We'll
just call each other out.
We make each other feel dumb all the time. That's just that's what we do. So another big one that is really important, and I messed this up so bad, like my first few years. You need to have a sign or a banner for your business that has your business name on it. Make sure that you have something that represents your branding. And what my mistake was with this was I made this big colorful banner, but it did not at all represent my branding. In fact, it's the last banner I used for an event. I never even updated it.
I'm full of great life advice today. I have been awake for literally over 26 hours. I'm not giving good life advice today.
Yeah, don't take his life advice today.
I'm in another planet right now.
Make sure that your banner actually matches your branding. That brand consistency is so important because people are going to see that branding with, you actually there in public. But then if they follow you on social media later, they're going to recognize that consistency and they're going to look for that and they're going to identify it. So yes, Starla, they are stupid. You said it, not me. You guys are the ones saying.
She has to be the one that's politically correct. She's generally a nicer person than I am. So.
I'm a very nice person in most
I'm in good form today, honey. I got to turn it up a little bit.
Shh. Stop it, you guys.
Who said why are you saying sorry, Chief Morgan?
Stop it. All right. So make sure that you're getting a big banner that represents your branding. For me personally, I order mine from Vistaprint because a lot of people say that Vistaprint's expensive. I don't think that they are. I think that they're pretty affordable.
Oh my God. Yeah. We get like 75% off coupons and crap from them all the time.
Yeah. I love Vistaprint.
Or like, hey, pay an extra $1.50 and get an extra whole, like double your order. Like they do crap like that all the time.
Yeah, I purposely under order my business cards because at the end you get like a checkout page that says, in the next 3 minutes you can claim 80% off of 500 more business cards. And
I mean, let's be real. I mean, there's probably a couple people that print stickers and cards and stuff in our group, and they know how much it costs.
Right.
Like
we know that
it doesn't cost $85 to print a box of 100 cards, but business is business.
But yeah, make sure that you have some type of banner, either a big one for your table, like a big vertical one. I really like the ones that like the pop-up banners, the ones that are on the stands, the big long ones. It just depends on your budget. I personally just used a big long banner that I could either put on the front of my table or behind my
what else should people get from Vistaprint for vendors events other than just a banner?
Is that a question or are you asking me?
I'm asking you.
Business cards and
definitely business cards.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of great sites. Like you could do Moo.
Well, the reason that you should do business cards or at least some sort of giveaway is because some people aren't going to have money on hand, or they're not comfortable carrying the money around with them. Whatever the reason.
They spent all their money.
They spent all their money. You're going to want a way, like if somebody's really interested in your product, you're going to want a way for them to be able to find you. Mm-hmm. So have links to your website, to your Etsy, to everything.
Yeah. Another one is power strip, extension cord, and lights if you need them. If you've already talked to that event coordinator, you know that you need those things. Bring them with you, especially the power strip, because you don't know how much that you're going to need to plug in and how many people are going to be sharing a single outlet. So make sure that you have that stuff with you. If it is indoor or outdoor, depending on temperatures, depending on how long the event runs, you may need a fan or a heater. It might get colder later in the day. The temperature could change or it could get hotter. So make sure that you have some type of portable fan or a heater. A big one, this is one from personal experience. When I talk too long, for example, if I'm vending for a 5 to 10 hour show.
You talk too long?
Yeah, I know, right? If I'm vending for a 5 or 10 hour show, my voice goes out. I can't talk that long without my voice completely cutting out. So if you're not used to talking all day for 10 hours at a time, it's probably a good idea to bring some hard candy with you. I'm not big for cough drops. I'm not big for menthol, but just Jolly Ranchers, if you can bring them with you, if you can swing it, even if you're like just putting a bowl of them out for the children and you're eating one, you know, to make sure that you're keeping your voice like intact for the span of the event, because there's nothing worse than not being able to communicate with your customers or them thinking that you're sick. That's even worse. Like if they think that you have strep.
And in the extreme situation that you are sick and you choose to go to a vendor's event or something like that, or you do have the issue of like you can only talk for 10 minutes before your voice goes out. I don't remember the name of it offhand, but there are sprays that are for vocalists that you can get that you just spray it basically into your throat. I'm not going to go into say that that's unhealthy or healthy because it's probably not good for you.
Just probably Google vocal spray.
Vocal spray, yeah, and it's basically a throat numbing agent. And it'll make it a lot easier on you. It takes a lot of the strain out of your throat. But
he's a vocalist, so he's speaking from experience there. So another big one is an inventory list. And the reason that you should have an inventory list on hand, not only should you be checking off your products, but you should also be documenting anything that gets stolen. And you can put that into your tax write-offs if something gets stolen during an event. In most cases,
make sure you check that for your area because it's going to vary.
We are not tax experts, but you might be able to.
She slipped one there.
You might be able to add it as a tax write-off. Just
some places might require a police report.
Yeah, so just document it.
Avoid peanut butter and chocolate, clams up the third. Anything with a high like fat content is
milk.
Milk.
Anything
like that. None of that crap.
Right. So make sure that you have that inventory list and that you're checking everything off as you go. Not only that, but you might want to write down all of your
Vistaprint voucher
tax information.
Money off just arrived in my inbox. Vistaprint must be watching. It's the FBI.
They know.
It's the FBI agent on the other side of your webcam. He's got you.
All right. So in terms of getting your stuff to the event, make sure that if you're carrying a lot, you have a portable dolly, which you can get the kind that kind of pop out, like they're small. They actually fold up really small and then they just pop out so you can carry everything with you, or some type of rolling cart. That's always good to have. I prefer the ones that can be folded down. That way you can put it under your table during the event and it's not taking up a bunch of space. And for me personally, because I go to so many events, it's inevitable that I have like 1031 bags. If you don't know what that is, 31 is one of the, consultant-based companies like Mary Kay and Scentsy, where they sell these big, huge bags. And I have been looped into buying so many of these freaking expensive bags. So those are the bags that I use to carry all my products in because they're huge. So anything like that, you can usually get some big, sturdy bags from places like Walmart. I do not recommend using plastic bags, grocery bags, things like that, because if they rip, then you're kind of screwed getting your stuff back to the car after the event is over. So get something that you can reuse.
Fran asked the question, do you think it's a good idea to be actively doing demo pieces while shopping, or just try to engage? If you're talking about as a seller, if you're going to be like doing things live or making things live for people that are coming by, I would definitely make sure you have somebody else that can handle all the other stuff while you're doing that.
Right. And make sure that this is a crazy one. I know that most of you were probably scratching your heads, as am I, but I actually read somewhere last night when I was kind of brushing up on some ideas for this topic. There are some events that do not allow you to do live demonstrations. So make sure that you actually talk to the event coordinator about that.
Rules.
Yeah, make sure that you actually ask them, say, this is my product. Am I allowed to do a demonstration for said product?
You need to know the way.
Yeah. All right. So another big one is mailing list and giveaway. This is actually one of the best ways that I've ever found to get people onto my mailing list. We'll answer that in a second.
Okay.
To get people onto my mailing list. What I do is I take a picture frame. to make it look pretty, I take a picture frame and I print a piece of paper for whatever that giveaway is for the day. I print out, what the giveaway is, and I put the product like onto the picture frame. For me, I have small products, so it's easier for my necklaces, but I actually drape the product onto the picture frame, and I say, enter your email to join our VIP club, for a chance to win this necklace. A winner will be drawn on this day. You would not believe how many people will sign up for your email list just by asking them to do it to enter this giveaway. Just make sure that you have a clear date on there as to when the giveaway winner will be announced. And then, yes, that does give you permission to add them to your email list. So that's another really great idea. And I would recommend just requesting their first name. You could do last name if you wanted, but in most cases with email lists, you don't really need last names. You could ask for it if you want to, but I always do first name and email, and that's it. Go ahead now.
We'll go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
Somebody asked about receipts, paper receipts for cash sales. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's on the list too.
Definitely keep receipts and keep a transaction log for yourself as well.
Yeah, that's why we'll get to questions at the end, because a lot of the things that you guys are suggesting we're ignoring because we're going to get to them. So product displays. This is one of those things where you should try to scope out the event, look at maybe past years from that event, because usually when a vendor finds an event that they like to go back every year.
Oh, yeah.
So you want to see what your competition is going to look like. If everybody has these big, extravagant displays, you need to know what you're up against. If you have this dinky little display with, a couple products on it and nothing really stands out, nobody's going to visit your table. So be sure to plan that display. Again, I recommend going to Pinterest and just searching vendors booth display ideas or craft fair booth ideas, craft fair display ideas, and getting an idea of something that will really stand out and draw people to your table. And then this was one that, was just suggested, but actually having a receipt book, because a lot of people are going to want a physical paper receipt with their product. Some people don't want that. And if they're actually paying with cash rather than a card reader where you can email them that receipt, they're going to want to have that physical copy. So make sure that you get a cheap receipt book.
Don't be a dirty birdie under the table taking the money.
Yeah.
Don't do that, because when you're on your taxes, at least for ours, they generally ask inventory questions, and if that stuff doesn't line up and the IRS decides to audit you, that's going to be one of the first things they come after.
Not tax specialists. We're just giving you guys word of warning.
That's more of a warning. Yeah. Just make sure you're documenting everything.
Right. All right. Another big one that you should bring with you is some type of gift bag or paper sack, or just something that you can send them home with their product in. I always hate it when I go to a craft fair and I buy something and they just hand it to me. I'm like, okay, I'll just carry this around with me all day, this little fragile thing, this little trinket, and I have nothing to carry it in. And then to go along with that, I highly recommend that you are branding that bag. So make sure that you're not just using your leftover grocery bags. Make sure that you're getting some type of pretty paper bag and you're stamping it. You're putting some type of sticker on it with your business or logo on it. Just make sure that you're somehow making that branding or that bag and packaging cohesive with your brand, because that's further going to kind of register that brand recognition, which is extremely important.
Somebody asked, how do you mark the inventory? I'm worried about finances. That's completely personal preference. Most of the time, especially when it comes to tax stuff, it's a dollar amount, not a specifics amount.
Right. That's going to be completely dependent on, a lot of things. And it's going to depend on if you're using like a card reader and things like that. For us, we use a PayPal card reader, but then we have to go, we have to go through and make sure that we deduct what we're doing from Etsy. We need to just get an Etsy card reader. Well, we're not.
People are talking about how Etsy's getting rid of theirs and they're switching theirs over to Square.
Oh, okay. Well,
which is
then
cool,
there we go.
Square is awesome.
Right. All right. So another big one, if you're doing an outdoor event, it might not be windy when you wake up, but by 5 o'clock, it might be a freaking windstorm. So make sure that you have some type of weights. For me, honestly, I just brought rocks with me. I had some table weights, for my tablecloth, which you can buy really cheap on like eBay and Amazon. Just look up table weights and you can find them for like $1. But make sure that you have something to weight down your actual tablecloth or your product, because there would be nothing worse than selling like stationery and you find out that your event's outdoors and a big gust blows all of your stuff away. So keep that in mind. Another big one is bug spray, sunscreen, all those essentials. Once again, the forecast might, say that it's going to be cloudy all day, but I know, for example, in Ohio, the forecast just is always wrong. It's always wrong. And same with bugs.
This state is just a meme when it comes to weather.
Yeah, you cannot predict the weather here. And that goes along with the next one, cold and warm clothes. So if you know it's going to be really hot, you could bring a sun hat.
Like the fall or the spring, where it's like really cold in the morning in the spring, and then it gets hot as crap in the afternoon in the late spring.
Yeah.
Or in the fall, where it's hot as crap all day, and then it's
freezing
suddenly it's just like, haha, it's cold now.
Yeah. So make sure that you bring, just have a jacket or something with you. Or if you think it's going to be hot, have a sun hat, have something, make sure that you dress appropriately. And bring some layers with you if there's any chance that it's going to be cold.
Just wear all like rip off clothing and then just wear like Under Armour underneath.
What, like have like a base layer, and then you can just
have a base layer,
de-layer,
and then you can be that weirdo that walks around in just spandex.
What I usually wear when I do events is I usually wear some type of button-up shirt before I did, or after the corsets. Honestly, the corsets were so uncomfortable. I don't recommend anybody wearing anything that they're going to be.
They look good though.
They look good, and it was very like it went along with my brand image. However, you're a perv. You're a pervert. Well,
we're married for freaking how long now?
8 years.
Almost
8 years. But anyway, guys, just make sure that you're wearing for comfort, not for show. Because I mean, honestly, from now on, if I ever do an event again, I'm just going to wear my shirts with my logo on it, and it's going to make my life so much more comfortable than previously. But what I've worn in the past, my last few vendors fairs, I just did a button-up shirt with a tank top underneath, because I knew if it got too hot, I could just take the long sleeve button-up off, and I had a tank top on under that. So, and then the last thing that I personally think that you should bring with you is lunch and lots of water. Don't bring pop, because pop causes you to belch, and there's nothing worse than having to burp a million times while you're talking to customers. It's why we don't. Yeah, we used to drink pop during our live streams, and it was like a mess. So don't bring pop. We're from Ohio, so we say pop. You might say soda.
It's pop.
It's pop. It is
pop. If you're wrong if you think it's anything but pop.
People gave us the weirdest
looks.
If
you call everything Coke, I don't see a psychiatrist. But
if your Sprite is Coke, if your Dr. Pepper is Coke, it's just
it's not Coke.
You're confusing everyone.
It's not Coke.
Anyway, guys, make sure that you're bringing something to eat and some water, because you don't know if there's going to be food at the event. And not only that, you don't know how busy you're going to be. You might not have the opportunity to go get food. So make sure that you're bringing something for yourself, and you're bringing enough for the whole day. Flip the page. Do we have any questions in the meantime before we get on to the things that everyone should prepare for? The inevitable, or not inevitable, the worst case scenario.
Look at that, Moonstruck. Enjoy the pervishness while it lasts. After several years, it fades away. I don't think so. Not with me.
Oh no, not with him. This is like
10%, guys.
it's been a consistent thing since I met you when you were 18 years old.
Why we're together. He loves it.
He was 18 when we met, and he's now 26, and literally not a thing has changed. In fact, it has gotten worse. So, but it just
spin to win instant discounts giveaways. Yeah, that's all just different advertising tactics, live advertising.
Just make sure, one thing I will say is make sure that your prices at the event are consistent with your online prices. Otherwise, people will feel cheated when they go to your website. However, what you can do if you want to offer an event, make sure that you mark on all your price stickers 1 day event price. And then what I like to do is put the original price, slash it out, and then put the event price. That's actually a psychological trigger. When they see the original price and then they see the markdown, they're going to value that product for the original price. For example, if you were doing like a crazy event and you had a $500 necklace and then you marked it down to $100 and you called it 1 day event price, people are still going to say, I got a $500 necklace. They're not going to say I got a $100 necklace. They're going to value it at the original price point and feel like they got an amazing deal. But you have to specify that it is a 1 day event price. Otherwise, they're going to go to your website later and be really confused and probably a little bit angry. So that's like one of those little micro tips. I think that I actually heard that from Renee Christine. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Renee told me that. So.
And you did have a question.
Oh,
here.
okay.
Do you think it's a bad idea to have several different items instead of collections? I'm newish to HDU and I'm nowhere near releasing my first official collection yet, but I'm still doing craft markets and displaying what I've done, usually sets from 3 to 7 similar items.
I think that everything should be cohesive. You don't need to... It's hard. Like, for example, my product lines, usually I don't have enough from a full product line if I'm doing an event fair, because when I release those product lines online, a majority of the good products, like the very best products, not that they're not all good, but my best sellers and the really cool items sell out within a few minutes. So I don't have those items for vendors fairs. So I think it's just important to make sure that everything is cohesive and that you're selling a similar type of product. For example, you wouldn't want to sell candles and cloth diapers, just it needs to make sense. Someone needs to go to your booth and know what you're all about. Otherwise, who are you for? They need to know, okay, this booth is for me and this booth is not for me. For example, I would not shop at a cloth diaper themed booth because my child is 6 years old. However, I would go to a jewelry booth, but if I went to a booth and it was jewelry and cloth diapers, I would just be very confused. So
Rosabella said the snack should be finger foods or small bites. A big sandwich is hard to eat gracefully too.
Exactly.
Here's the thing though, like if you legit need a break, a big sandwich is a way to keep people from talking to you. Like if you're just sitting there with a big old fat sandwich taking a
just
bite
a whole
out of it,
sub, like a big
and then
sub.
if somebody does approach you, that's like right when you take a bite, so you can sit and chew, and they'll say, you know what, I'll come back in a minute.
No, she's right. Bring finger food. That's what I always did.
No, I'll bring a sandwich.
I brought a salad once, and I got like salad dressing all over myself and all over the floor of the event because I kept having to stop. And by the time I was actually able to eat my salad, it was like old and soggy because it had gotten so warm from sitting out in the sun.
Should have brought a sandwich.
Yeah, finger food. I did a taco salad too from Fern's. Ugh. I tried to eat a taco salad at an event. That was a mess.
If you order a taco salad to go, you're already in the wrong.
It was,
but anyway,
I vended right out front of the BX, so it was literally right out front. All right, so
bring a drink with electrolytes.
Yeah,
it's what plants crave.
You're stupid.
Please tell me somebody gets that reference.
Points for anyone who gets that reference. Let's move on. Things to prepare for. This is the biggest one that you need to prepare for, and it is the one that I have not prepared for on several occasions. What happens if you need to pee and you're vending by yourself? For one, you should always have a buddy. But a lot of the times he was in the military when we did all of our vendors events. And you can't just say, well, I can't do my very important military job because my wife wants to go sell crafts somewhere. They don't really usually let you off work for that. So make sure that you either have a buddy or before the event, you get there early enough and you get to know the people that are around you. Make sure that you have someone close to you, one of the other vendors who you can trust to look after your table if you need to go to the bathroom, which it's great to do that because when they need to go to the bathroom, they'll have you there too. So you can help each other out.
Rondo.
Yeah. And yeah, there we go. Perfect. Christy got it.
A few people said they got it, but points to Christy because she was the first one to call it
out. But anyway, make sure that you have some way to go to the bathroom, especially if it's going to be a long event. Another more worst case scenarios to prepare for: if you're vending outside, do you have an action plan if it rains? Do you have an action plan if the wind picks up? Do you have an action plan if it suddenly gets very cold? And I'm not just talking about for yourself. I'm also talking about, your products themselves. And I'll go over some examples of our horror stories in just a few minutes. Do you have an action plan if it is 116 degrees outside like it was for us when we lived in California? Do you have an action plan if you have sudden lady problems in the middle of an event and you're talking to your customers?
I do.
You have lady problems?
Yeah.
He has lady problems like all the time, guys. All the time.
All the time.
Usually
while she's home.
Yeah, all the time. I have to go and, tend to his lady problems.
I don't think she got that. But...
No. Probably not. I don't want to hear about it, honestly.
No, I said while you're home. I have lady problems while you're home.
Oh, I'm the lady problem. I thought you meant...
Whoosh!
I thought that...
Right over the head on that one.
I thought that you were just being gross. Anyway, but that is one that you should prepare for, though. That's like a really obscure one that a lot of people, I just don't think realize it. But I've had a lot of my ladies come up to me and ask me that super secret question: do you have this feminine hygiene product? They have to like whisper it to me. Gross. Oh no. Normal bodily functions that everyone has. Is that the door?
No, that was the cat kicking the wall because he had a foot itch.
And then obviously you should have an action plan if your voice goes out. We already kind of talked about that. What happens though if, say, there's a bunch of people at your table and a little child reaches up and grabs something and knocks it down and the product breaks. Do you already have an idea in mind of how you're going to handle that?
Baseball bat.
You need to, you're terrible. Shut up. You need to have an action plan in place for, the worst case scenarios, the worst possible things that could happen. What if, just something, what if the wind catches something and knocks it over? That's not as big of a deal as, someone who's embarrassed that they accidentally dropped something and broke it from your table though. So make sure you have a way to talk to them. And, I usually expect to either have something break or have something get stolen. I just always keep that in mind when I'm setting up because
people suck.
People steal things. People do steal things. When you have small products,
you all know people. I mean, most of you are, I'm assuming all of you are adults. You know by now that people suck.
People can suck, yeah. Especially
they're clumsy. They don't pay attention to their kids, whatever. It's a social event, so
right.
Stuff is generally just hectic.
Exactly.
Adult
diapers. I hope that no one is just walking around like just actively just using their adult diaper unless they actually need one, unless you have to wear one. But no, I mean like someone like me, like I'm not going to go to the bathroom. I'm just going to wear a diaper today instead. Anyway.
Yeah, I ain't all about this. Shut up.
I'm
not about that.
Walking around, well, because our events have always been really long and then thinking about having to wear that all day. Oh, see, this conversation is getting weird. You guys you're making it weird again. All right. So
the really weird side of YouTube here.
Weird. Let's talk about the very last thing. Do you have an action plan in place if your card reader stops working? This has happened to me twice. I've had my card reader just for whatever reason not accept cards. I have lost internet when I had it for a few hours, and then everyone's using their card reader and all the Wi-Fi is just getting clogged up and everyone's card readers stop working. So make sure that you do have some type of action plan and that you have the ability to make a sign that maybe says our card reader has stopped working. We only accept cash. If that happens, that's another good reason to have a paper and pen with you. That way you can put that out there in the event that things go wrong. So
Amber Maurice, a dog pees on my original portrait. It soaks through the frame and into the drawing. The recipient is coming to the event to pick it up.
Oh, no.
Yeah, see, that's one of those things that, like, if somebody's like, yeah, I don't have the money to compensate you, make sure that, like, you're compensating the loss of, your time. And then make sure you're also documenting for the person that's probably going to want their money back for the thing that you made for them.
Right.
Because that's a loss. So just make sure you're doing that. Square has an offline mode. Yeah, a lot of people are doing offline modes now. That way, like right when you come online, it charges their card. Just make sure that if you're doing that, you're notifying them that they might not see the purchase right away, that it might take some time before it actually posts.
Right. All right. So let's talk about our nightmares, our big nightmares, and then we're going to get into questions. So one of the very first event fairs that I ever did was when I was wearing my big corset ensemble, and I had these really, really cute steampunky high heel boots. And I didn't realize that I was going to be put in the dirt. I was at a school, which I was not told that I was vending at a school. I was told that I was vending for a community organization, was not told it was a school, and I carpooled there. So I had no idea that I was going to be arriving at a school. I just had a friend who was like, oh, come to this event with me. We can bring all your stuff. I'm like, okay, cool. Wasn't told I was at a school. I was wearing full corset, big boobs, everything. It was, thankfully it was mostly adults.
Don't get started back up on the boobs.
I felt I just felt like I shouldn't be there. I'm like, oh,
she looked like she shouldn't be there.
I did not, the parents that were walking
they weren't okay with it.
They were not.
It was pretty funny.
It was, I wasn't my corset goes high up. It wasn't like my boobs were hanging out.
So did the boobs.
Right. So
it's like something you wear to Renfest.
Yeah, I had no idea. It went with my whole booth, but I just felt weird the whole time. But what ended up happening was my high heels sunk in the mud, and I had to do the entire event barefoot. And there were tons of bees in the grass where I was standing. So that's one of those things to consider. One of my nightmares. That way you guys can all laugh at me.
It's a dream for me, though.
Yeah, well, you weren't at that event. Otherwise,
I visited you.
Not that one. Not at the school.
Yes, I did. I visited you.
Oh, did you?
I was on days. I had a lunch break.
Oh, okay.
Starla posted a pic. Yeah, in your dreams.
I have pictures of me in that corset.
For me.
I still have those pictures of me vending. I'll post all of my, so you can at least, my table booths
just not post pictures so people can look at your boobs. What's wrong with you?
They're not of my boobs. They're of the table displaying my getup, my outfit that I wore in front of children.
There's 126 people in here. You telling me that ain't one perv?
I'm sure that there's at least one. There's always at least one.
I'm here.
Well, yeah, you're the one. But yeah, that was like my big, one of my worst nightmares. And at that time, my table was not cohesive. It was like one of my first events. My table looked terrible. I hated it. It was like one of the worst events I ever went to. And it was really hot and humid. I was miserable the whole time. And at that exact same event, I had a canopy. I was actually provided with a canopy for that event, but the sun was shining at an angle that went straight into my canopy. So the canopy did not provide my actual products with any shade. And what ended up happening, because my keys are all metal and it was 116 degrees that day, my keys were so hot that everyone would come up and touch them and literally burn themselves to the point where most of them like yelled. And we had little children actually burn their hands trying to pick up my products. It was so chaotic.
It's so funny.
It was like the worst event I ever did. And I had to tell.
That's what you get for touching my product, you little crap.
I know. It's like, no, touch it. Don't touch any of it.
Start buying a heating element and all the ones will just be display and we'll mail the real ones. When people try to touch them, they're just like, ow.
Like some shock sensors.
Yeah, keep your little minions away from my
stuff. Don't touch any of it. But it was awful. Everything got so hot. And even, no
thefts that day.
Yeah, no thefts that day. You know what I had to do?
If they thieved it. If they did steal it, they would have had a hot pocket.
Ha ha. But what I had to do was I would pick up the keys for them. I would say, don't touch them. They're really hot. The sun's shining on them. And I would pick it up for them and hold it and show it to them. That way they could see it up close and I'd turn it over and things. But then when I would bag it, I would like just set it down in the bag and they wouldn't even get to touch the product before I handed it to them. And by the end of that event, my hand was so sore from holding all of those products all day and burning the palms of my hands. It was a nightmare. So that's just one of those things to consider if you're selling anything that's metal. Also, if you're selling anything soap related. I had a friend at that event who sold soap. And her products ended up, they didn't melt, but they condensated within their plastic packaging. And it was just such a mess.
So they got moist?
They got moist. How many people in the comments hate moist?
Moist.
Ooh, that's a good one. I have light curtains from IKEA to filter the sunlight. That's something that I wish I would have had. I thought that I was doing the right thing by renting a canopy that day, but no. And to rent that canopy, it was $30. So, and then I had at a separate event, we had one at a park on our military base for Halloween, where the children could go from table to table to get Halloween candy. And while they were doing that, the parents could shop at each table. And for that event, there was no bathroom. And it was like a 4 or 5 hour event, which doesn't seem like a long time. But October in California, it's still hot. It's like still 100 degrees. And I was drinking water all day. So I had to go to the bathroom like pretty much the entire event. And I was completely miserable. Just the whole time. I almost went in the woods and went and peed because we were beside some like a forest. It was so bad. It was awful. I don't know if you went to that one.
I can't remember.
I think Lissa took Taylor and walked her around.
Sonora said always make sure the venue is appropriate for your products. I mean, yeah, definitely.
Oh, definally.
Like if you're selling marital aids, definitely don't go to one at a middle school. Like,
oh yeah, and we actually we had a what's the name? Pure Romance seller who was actually at the same event at the school. She also was not notified that they were vending at a school. She had no idea. So it was really embarrassing for her because she wasn't allowed to show her products to children. She told like parents like they could not bring their children to her booth, but it was at a school.
So at that point, you don't need a baseball bat. You've got worse things to hit the kids with.
Oh, all she had was catalogs and
catalogs.
All she had was catalogs, but the kids couldn't look at the catalogs.
No offense to anybody that does that, but I abhor when people bring resell crap to vendors fairs.
It depends. If it's a craft fair, I really don't like it. If it's a vendor's fair, it's okay because
like it's one thing for like the fire department, and the police department, and the military and whatever to come in and do their little spiel, but it's like
I don't know.
You have all these people that are selling like handmade products, and then you have people that are coming in and selling Mary Kay, and then you have people that are selling, handmade like the Scentsy stuff, and then there's like an actual Scentsy seller there. I don't know. It's a peeve of mine. I'm not a big fan of that. Like there's times and like do that with your friends and family like everybody else.
I mean, I guess as long as there's not like more than one. I hate when there's more than one Mary Kay person, but at the same time, I buy all that crap. I love Scentsy. I love Mary Kay, and I can usually get better deals. Plus, I don't want to order things online and have to wait for them. Sometimes I want it right then, like Scentsy, for example, and you have to order Scentsy. So I like to go to the table and grab it.
I just find it to be rude, personally, to the people that are actually like putting their time and effort into it instead of just like getting something that's already made and putting effort into just selling it.
I think it depends on the event.
Obviously it depends on the event, but if it's a vendor's fair, I don't think that's appropriate.
Right. Craft fair and vendors are totally different. So if it's craft fair, those people shouldn't be there. So another thing, obviously, to prepare for is stolen items. We've talked about that. It's gonna happen. Right. And for us,
sometimes it won't, but I guess that's just depending on what you sell. Like if you sell giant paintings, that's probably not going to happen.
Right.
That's probably going to be more damages than theft.
Right. And for us, what we ended up doing was we had all of our, products on the table, and we got home. And when I recounted my inventory, I found that I had like 10 products missing, and it came up to like, I think $120 or something ridiculous.
And it was on a military base.
So we know it was kids. It had to have been.
Well, not necessarily.
That's true.
Not everybody in the military is a good person.
That's very true.
But either way.
It was mostly children though. So, I mean, it's one of those things that I just kind of I just kept it in mind.
Just expect it. Expect it to happen and don't let it frustrate you too much.
Keep your most expensive products closer to you. So put them at the back of the table.
Make them hard to get to.
Yeah.
But visible.
Right. And then the worst event of all that I ever did, it was my very, very first vendors event. I was part of this little group of vendors. It was a combination of crafters and consultant-based companies, and we all like worked together as a team and did like booked huge shows together. But it's like you take one of us, you take all of us. And looking back on that, I really hated that business model.
It was a toxic community.
Yeah, it was really toxic. Like one of the coordinator for that made us all wear name tags.
Somebody tried to play leader and like.
Yeah.
She was a tool.
I didn't really
Sorry if you're in here, but you're a tool.
I didn't really care for that business model. And I ended up leaving because they kept trying to lock me into things that I didn't want to do because I was trying to grow my own brand, not the brand of this group that consisted of a bunch of brands that completely were mismatched. But anyway, the first event that I ever did with that particular group, we booked this huge community center. They made paper flyers and posted them all over town. There wasn't a huge event page. There wasn't a social media presence. And not a single person showed up to this event. It was just us, about 20 vendors, all of us with our tables. And we ended up playing freaking games, like goofy games with each other, group events. It was just so terrible. It was cringy. It was embarrassing. We all felt, I felt bad for the event coordinator, but I felt more bad for all of us who put time and a lot of money into our booths. It was just awful. So that was
Quidia. I made it. Good morning.
You're late. You're late.
Are you in Europe?
Yeah, because we've
switched time zones.
Yeah, US has switched time zones. But that was my worst situation ever. There was nothing worse than setting up all day, sitting down, being ready, watching that door. And anytime someone walks in that door, you expect it to be, a customer's here. And it ends up just being like one of the vendors who went outside to like smoke a cigarette or something. You're like,
oh, like every freaking briefing in the Air Force, they gather the whole base together. We need to talk to them about strings on their boots. Like every briefing was so stupid. Sorry, I'm trailing off. I'm tired.
Cringy, just cringy events.
Stupid stuff. I deal with that sort of mess with the band moms. I'm a band mom. There's always one or two control freaks.
Yes.
I hate those people. If I could curse on here, I'd tell you how I feel about them. But
or like the soccer moms who are like just trying to be the queen of the moms, like you have to bring cookies to this event and you bring soda.
I literally can't be around those people because she hates me when I'm around those people because I'm very vocal about how much I hate that.
Yeah. Like
everybody's equal. You're not special. If you coordinated the event, you get like an extra 10 points. Like that's it. You're not like Queen Bee.
Right. You don't have to tell people like for those events you shouldn't say you have to do this at your table. Like the one that I went to, we had to wear name tags, which was cool. However, I had an entire very expensive, well choreographed outfit that went with my table and everything was matchy. And I had to wear a big blue name tag on my $200 corset that said, "Hello, my name is Starla." And my business name was Art by Starla Moore. And I had a banner that said it. Everyone knows my name is Starla. I don't need a matching name tag. Like, oh.
People like that can munch my fudge button. I don't.
Did you just say that live?
Yeah, munch my fudge button. That's like the most PC way I could say that.
Don't say that again. Don't say.
Did anybody have a problem with me saying that?
I did. I don't care about them. This is a whole other
level.
level.
Hear that now?
I'm grossed out.
Lisa Dixon liked it. See?
Oh, here we go. All right. Do we have any questions?
That's how I feel. That was PC. That was as PC as that could have gotten.
Is he the livelihood of this channel? Can you guys?
I am the comedic relief. See, look at that.
I don't even know what that means. It's a butt.
Google it.
No, don't Google it. Please don't Google it. Don't do it.
Domestic platypus.
Does everyone like Mark's sense of humor? Is this something we should be working on or something we should be encouraging?
Or should she just take me off the channel altogether?
I need to know if you guys.
It's hilarious.
Thank
you guys.
Here's
as long as you're not taking me too seriously, that's fine.
I
am very aggressive with those kind of people. Just as a spoiler alert, there, I really do hate those kind of people. But
right, but
I'm not going to Google it. Why not?
Yeah. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Incognito tab. Nobody will ever know.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Always encouraging. Here's the thing. Most business coaches and I am not ripping on Renee, Christine, or anybody that I follow, honestly, because I love their business models. In fact, my favorite thing about Renee is she doesn't take herself too seriously. But
let him out in public.
And that
thinks she can hold me back.
Public is even worse.
Oh man, when we drive by people on their cell phones,
he just screams out the car window.
I do. I open the windows and I scream.
Get off your cell phone! Oh, it's so bad.
I appreciate your love, guys. I appreciate it. At least somebody appreciates it.
I appreciate your love, just not when we're streaming to 100. Well, now I do. I think that
I told that joke. We have 6 more people viewing right now than before I told it.
You guys are encouraged. This is what you wanted. You did this. I didn't do it. You guys did it. So
I've done that.
I've done that. The worst thing he does is if we're at a grocery store or something, he will yell across the aisle and say, "I've got your lady diapers," and wave a pack of feminine hygiene products. You can show. I don't care. Fine. You guys.
My favorite thing to do is in my 350Z, I have a very powerful 15-watt sub in the back. And my favorite thing to do is especially during the summer when people are talking on their cell phones with their windows open, is I just immediately we have the Google phones, I call on there and I put in, whatever the bassiest song I can remember at the time. I crank my sub all the way up and crank it. So neither
we're at a stoplight.
They can't hear the person on the phone and the person on the phone can't hear them anymore.
We're really, really big on people driving on their phones in our area.
I've had a lot of friends die from that bull crap. It's no joke.
His best friend was actually killed. It wasn't a phone related incident, but his best friend was just killed in a car accident 2 years ago. And it was a big thing, a big freaking thing for the whole family. So
calculate miles per hour out to feet per second. You go pretty far. You look away from the road for 1 second. You can travel. I think it's in 2 seconds, you can travel a football field's distance at highway speeds. So just be nice.
Be nice. Be good.
To the grocery store when somebody's touching all the vegetables. Gross.
Ew.
Just wash them.
Yeah, I do wash them.
When you buy stuff in an open grocery store, you got to assume that somebody has sneezed, farted, puked, and bled all over everything that's in there. You should clean it.
Especially in the U.S. because we use way harsher chemicals on our food.
And people are gross here, so.
Yeah, we have way harsher chemicals.
Not everything says Mark floats my boat.
But I can handle it. How old are you, Rosabella? Because we are.
I don't intentionally say anything to offend you guys. I don't want you to think that I would ever do that.
Our demographic, I believe, is ages 40 to 65.
Me too.
You're so funny.
Using your phone while driving is illegal in the UK. It's illegal here too. In every state.
We've seen cops do it.
People don't give a snap.
We see cops doing it.
Yes.
Cops.
I've yelled at cops with her in the car.
Yeah.
I've yelled at cops for that stuff.
Did you do it again?
Things. Shit.
You said
Sorry.
you said a wordy dirt.
A wordy dirt. Yeah, people suck. Can we just talk about that for a minute? People suck. No.
How illegal people are. Rosabella is 60. Yeah,
I had a woman on base. My funniest screaming at a person on their cell phone. So I was in uniform and it looked like a spouse. Big old truck, fancied out. She was all purried up because, you know, military spouses. Nothing against those or anything. But
I was one.
Yeah, well, you were always hot. We were just talking about that. But a lot of them aren't. But she had her window open, and I just opened my window, and obviously I'm in a car with tinted windows. She can't see me, and I just screamed at the top of my lungs, "Get off your effing phone!" And she like immediately took it from her ear and just like dropped it in her lap and just like hung it up and put it down and like put both hands. It was so funny,
especially since he was in uniform. Like you have
so because funny. I was like maybe 10 feet from her.
You didn't even have, how many stripes did you have at that point?
Two.
Yeah, you only had two. It wasn't like he was like, you know, freaking
truckers are much worse. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. Do we have any?
We've been having fun. People are just going crazy in the comments. Anybody have any legitimate questions about the vendors fair?
Yeah, because we want to make sure that we're actually covering your questions.
We don't want to have to answer a million emails about questions we didn't answer. Does anybody have any like legit questions?
I mean, if not, we can just keep talking about yelling at people on the phone.
I'm fine with that. I don't have anything else to do. I'm tired. I'm basically on another planet right now.
He's digging it. He's having a lot of fun talking about
having maps in the phones makes it tough if you need a map. Most cell phones have the vocal option. Just turn on the voice. Yeah,
even our lights upstairs, we use Philips Hue bulbs, and he talks to the lights, and they turn different colors. So
I talk to everything. Yeah. Obviously, not everybody has a phone like that, but most phones, if it has a speaker and it has GPS, it can tell you where to go.
Yeah, definitely. I'm so antisocial. I haven't managed to do a fair yet. I kind of want to, but then I also really don't want to. I think that the best thing to do is pick a small event first and kind of
don't jump right into the gun.
Yeah, my first event, nobody showed up, but it taught me how to, put up and tear down my table. So pick a small event.
Lisa Dixon, I'm antisocial. See, the thing is though, is like you get an opportunity to socialize with people that are in the same spot as you. They're all experiencing the same thing. All at different experience levels, that kind of thing. So don't be too afraid. Like if you don't like talking to people, that's one thing, but just keep in consideration that the majority of people aren't going to be talking to you to talk about you or about your life or anything like that's actually social. Most of the time, it's just going to be questions about your products. Right. So if you know your products, just answer honestly and
scroll up because we missed a bunch.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. No, we didn't. This is still talking about car stuff.
What do you think of retiring older products on Etsy and then bringing them to a craft fair to sell? I think that's fine. Just make sure that you're telling customers who are buying that product that product is no longer available online. I would even put something on the sticker and say event exclusive item. Like, don't say nobody wanted this item on Etsy, so I'm selling it for cheaper at this event. Make it seem like this is an exclusive item for just the events. Make it special. You don't have to tell them that it's something that you weren't able to sell on Etsy. Make it seem like it's a special item that they can only get at the event. That way they don't go to your Etsy shop later looking for it.
How do you find fairs?
So to find fairs in your area,
social networking.
Just Google your town or a big city nearby or
state events.
Yeah, or big state events if you want to do a larger one, and just put near me, craft fairs near me, craft shows near me, which is a lot different than a craft fair, and vendors events are very different than all of those. So just know the difference and just Google it. You can usually find a huge list for the entire year. Some places book these things, like a year in advance. So, all right.
What the heck do I do after I get the email list from the craft fair? Do I send one email to thank them for signing up?
When you add somebody to your email list, it actually depends. For example, if you're just adding them to your list, what I recommend doing for MailChimp, at least, if you have a welcome series set up, I actually don't know if manually adding someone to your list sends them that welcome series. So if anybody knows, type it down in the comments. But you can manually send your welcome series to a new subscriber. So that would be like my first step, is make sure that you send them your welcome series if you have one. But you could obviously send them an email saying, hey, thanks for connecting with me at the event. and maybe offer them a coupon or something to actually use your online store. That way they kind of get that presence of who you are and they remember, oh, that's that lady. I would even take a selfie of yourself at the event, put it in that email and say, hi, remember me? And then send it to everybody who signed up.
How do you respond when a customer point blankly says, I can do that myself, or that's too expensive?
So
I'll let her answer that.
Yeah. So if somebody says, and this has happened to me multiple times, not at fairs, but online, but I can definitely tell your frustration if somebody were to say that to me face to face. What I always do is I very politely respond and I say, oh, you should start an Etsy shop. And here's the thing. Most people will say I can make that myself.
They don't have the drive or the initiative to do that.
No. And don't worry about them becoming your competitors. I'm sorry, but most people who are just like, I could do that myself. You can already tell
they're a snobby piece of crap and they're not going to get anywhere.
So they are all talk. I'm usually polite. I say, yeah, that's great. You should start an Etsy shop. It sounds like you're really talented. I could totally, give you some pointers. You get on Etsy.com and it's 20 cents. Like, give them the most generic pointers ever. Be like, make sure that, you have some cool pictures to go along with your products, and just give them the most generic advice that you ever could. Be friendly, but just kind of leave them dumbfounded. If they're so rude as to tell you to your face, I could make that myself, be passive aggressive. Anybody else?
Lori Woods, what stock level should you aim for? That depends on what you do.
It depends on what you do, and it depends on the event. So make sure
the size of the booth, there's a whole bunch of considerations there. So that's all going to be personal preference. That's why we suggest starting out small, because you never know. You might have one of those products that's just more of I want to buy it online kind of thing, and you don't realize that until afterwards. Obviously, you're still going to sell stuff, but start small, and if it goes crazy at a smaller show and you're in the same area as you're going to be doing a big one, and you don't have enough inventory, you can kind of gauge. It takes experience, just like inventory on Etsy itself, which I think somebody asked earlier. It depends.
Right.
It takes time.
Rosabella, when you're planning your display, also consider transporting and storage. Absolutely, especially when you have big pieces. And all of my events, I usually carpooled, or I helped somebody get their stuff to the event. So if you carpool with someone, that's awesome. Just make sure that if you have a buddy, that you're making sure that everything actually fits in the vehicle.
Diana, my last craft show, promoters didn't advertise enough, so there weren't many visitors. That's going to happen.
You know what? That's another thing that you can ask the event organizer or the event coordinator.
Like, how are you advertising this?
Right. Should I be advertising this myself? Should I be trying to get people?
Some people don't want you to advertise.
Yeah.
Which is really weird, but
yeah, I find that to be kind of odd. But ask them is there an event page that I can invite people to? What is the advertising looking like on social media? And for example, the event that I did where no one showed up, nobody looks at paper flyers anymore. I don't care where you're at. Hardly anybody walks around looking at telephone poles with paper flyers on them. That's like old school. Make sure that this event is actually on social media, and look at the event page and see how many people are signed up for that, and expect about half of the people. So only expect about half of the people who have signed up for the event to actually go.
How can you tell if an event will be well attended? Possibly not do first of anything.
That kind of goes along with the last question.
It's really hard to tell. You just kind of got to look around and ask around. And
first of all, you should see if that event has had previous years, and then
if it's a first-time event, it could be a hit or miss.
Right, and most events now have a Facebook event page. Look at how many people are signed up to attend that event. Divide that number in half, and that's usually about what you should expect to show up. Sometimes it's going to be more, but it's usually to estimate on the low end. That way, you're not disappointing yourself.
Let's see here, Alex. What if a person at the table next to you is throwing tons of shade at you? Last guy was being a jerk and loudly talking about how he didn't like my stuff to customers. Tell the event organizer.
Absolutely. Nobody should be.
That's absolutely unacceptable, and they should be banned from that event forever.
Right. And if that is causing you money, if you paid for that booth space and you are seeing less customers because the person next to you is talking crap, me personally, I would walk over and kindly confront the person. He would not. He would very aggressively confront the person.
I would probably just flip their table over. But
yeah, he would like, Wah!
No, definitely. If you're the kind of I know a lot of people are talking about being they're non-confrontational and they're antisocial. Here's the deal: you're not alone. Most people that are creatively minded or artistically minded are introverts. That's no surprise to anybody. Every once in a while, you get that person that's crazy hyper and crazy excited and crazy social, but the majority of creative minds are antisocial. So if you're not into that, whatever, talk to the event organizer
as soon as it starts happening.
As soon as you notice it to start happening, because you don't want that to progress, because that could just ruin your reputation for the day.
Right.
But if you can talk to the person first, ask them kindly. If they're a total jerk about it, then talk to the event organizer. And if the event organizer doesn't do anything about it, I would just boycott them from your list forever.
Right. Leave that event.
Do not recommend it to any of your friends. Maybe even, tell people not to go to that event, because the people that organize it clearly don't care.
Right.
So typical stuff. It sounds really negative that way, but
nobody deserves that. You don't deserve that. You put work and time into it, just like they did.
And demand, if you do end up having to leave because they're not doing it, demand your money back. Demand your feedback.
Right. Say, I tried to let the event coordinators know that I was being verbally abused to the point where customers were not coming to my table at this event by this individual, and I was not able to make sales that day because of this. I would like a refund for my cost. And, the worst that can happen is they say no. And if they say no, don't ever go to that event again. All right.
See here. What do you do if someone's being creepy? Had a guy out of our booth for literally over 2 hours without talking to us and freaked us out. Well, first thing to consider is that's kind of a personal judgment kind of thing, because you never know. That might have just been somebody with a mental condition that got away from their carer.
That's happened.
And that happens all the time. It might just be some autistic guy that just is perplexed by what he's looking at on your table.
Right. He might just be really
don't immediately freak out. I mean, there's still a 50-50 chance it could be a pervert. So again, event organizer, get with the event organizer, get with security, have a friend go get with security.
One of the funniest things that happened to me at one of the cons that I did was we had this group of people that dressed up in Star Wars, like full stormtrooper armor, and they had actual like Darth Vader that would lead them in, and then they would do this big like choreographed flash mob, and they'd all dance. It was crazy, and it was like these like $100 or $1,000 costumes that they would all come and wear. But I had a stormtrooper walk behind my booth, behind me, and stand, and this guy was just breathing down my neck, just trying to creep me out. And I went, "Hey man, let's take a selfie." And I immediately took a selfie with him, and he gave me his official stormtrooper ID, and it was laminated. It was the funniest thing ever. So that's my funny creeper story, but I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, just keep in consideration, I mean, it is the 21st century. I mean, people are kind of crazy.
You can prompt people. You can say, "Is there anything I can help you with?" See what the response is. If they just say no.
And if it gets really weird, just get with security. I mean, your safety is number one. Even if it is some mentally handicapped person that their support person isn't with them, security should still be alerted, because there's somebody who's mentally handicapped that can't take care of themselves out in front of your booth. Right. Or it could just be somebody tripping balls.
In our area, that's very common.
Public drug use is a pretty big thing. He could just be tripping absolute balls and has no idea where he's at, doesn't want to move because he's afraid he's going to fall off the cliff he's standing on.
And unfortunately,
I mean, that's a reality.
In our area, I mean, if you Google Springfield, Ohio, which is our town that's it's where I grew up.
It's about 45 minutes away.
It's about 45 minutes away. It is on the grid for the most heroin overdoses
in history
ever. It's so bad. And there are just people rolling around in the streets everywhere. It's just such a pain. So, yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah. Please spend the hours. People talking about making your own product. What about attaching your items to your display to help prevent theft? Good idea. Yeah. I mean, it's just going to take more setup time.
And it depends on the product. You have to make sure that
how easy is it going to be for you to get back out if somebody buys it? Or wants to look at it? You're going to have to constantly secure it, bring it out. If you have those, the lockable clear plastic boxes that you can clearly see. I'm tired, so the words escaping.
Display case type things.
Yeah, the clear display cases. If you want to do that kind of thing, and somebody's let me see that, then you can just open the lid. If they have to get into something physically to see a product, even if it's not locked, that's going to be a lot more of a deterrent.
Right.
Because you're going to see them open that box and then not open it back up again before they walk away.
Right.
Give them a referral code to Etsy so you can get 40 free listings.
Yeah, there you go. For your competition, or for if somebody wants to try to say that they can make a product better, give them your referral code for Etsy, because you get 40 free listings, and then they probably won't even maintain their shop anyway. So.
Or quit. Yeah, I'm doing a big event in June, CountryCon. I'm so nervous. Well, good luck. Have fun.
I mean,
That's the biggest part about it. You can make money and have fun.
You know what I like to do when I was preparing for my big like Comic-Con style events was I like to watch videos on YouTube of those like even bigger events that are bigger than mine, because let's face it, a small con on base was not as big as like the actual Comic-Cons. But I would like to watch those videos just to kind of see what the interactions were like. It really helped me get into that mindset of the type of audience that was going to be there. Thankfully, they were all my target market, so that was perfect. It's just a good idea to kind of gauge how you should be acting based on what is the standard for that type of event. So.
See here, with my music biz, we use social media ambassadors to spread that sort of word in exchange for a meet with the band or something. Do they do that with events? Not really.
I don't think
there's
so.
Usually with events like this, there's usually social media promoters, and then just the individual sellers, if they're allowed to, will promote it as well.
Right. And
I'm sure it happens, but it's not as frequent as in the music business.
In the frame.
Yeah,
we've lost you.
I'm a little bit in the music business as well. It's not quite the same. See, my boyfriend was pissed he didn't want to get in a fight at a craft fair. Yeah, but it was on a military base and I knew everybody. So if I was going to fight somebody, it was going to be somebody I knew. And
that was the event where the person was talking trash beside their table. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I still would have thrown hands, but it's whatever.
He's confrontational. He's actually not that confrontational.
I'm not.
He's really not.
Only if what they're doing is invasive. If
or
somebody's
destructive.
Doing destructive, invasive, or distractive.
Could harm.
Like even at a restaurant, if somebody has a screaming baby and they don't bring it away, I generally say something to somebody like, "Take your screaming baby outside, or I'm going to eat it." Not in a threatening way, just like, you know what I mean.
Not like, now we have had the screaming baby. Let me elaborate.
I did tell someone I was going to eat their baby once and they left, so that.
Let me elaborate. We've had
an Olive Garden too.
We've had the screaming baby. It's more when it's not when the child's just kind of crying. It's when the child is literally red in the face, screaming at the top of their lungs, and the parents are just not even giving that baby any love.
Yeah, like they're just totally ignoring it.
Like, I understand some people think that crying it out.
The babies cry, I get it, but if it's longer than like 3 seconds, take it outside.
If the baby is red in the face and can't breathe and is doing that like gasp cry, you need to pay attention to your child.
Yeah,
that's when things
put down the fork and get the spaghetti out of your mouth and pay attention to your baby.
Or else he's gonna eat it.
Or I'm gonna eat it, and I'll tell you that I'm gonna eat it. I have multiple times. I've done that since before I got with you. I've embarrassed exes before.
He's embarrassed me before.
See, here's the thing, like, the nicer the restaurant it is, the more aggressive I am, because it's like, if I'm going to pay like $75 for just a steak and you brought your baby into this place, damn right I'm going to eat your baby if you don't shut it up. I paid for that baby. Anyway.
I am not ready for the comments.
I'm
not ready.
It's a joke, people.
He's joking.
But I have told people that. In all seriousness. You may want to talk about shows that stand alone versus shows that are attached to events.
Yeah. Especially events.
Be prepared for that. Babies are juicy. Especially with butter and garlic. Look at this. I win, baby.
I told you guys not to encourage him.
It's that's fine. Like, you live people that like it. It's the people that are in the after show that comment, the replayers. Ooh, boy, do they hate me. Yeah, you guys like me. Those people hate me for some reason. I think I'm nice. I just don't like babies crying when I'm trying
Rosabella, you may want to talk about the standalone versus shows. Right. Shows that are attached to events, obviously, they typically have a better turnout because there's more incentive to go rather than just shopping. So if you're doing a standalone event, you want to make sure that there are a lot of vendors, that there is a variety of vendors, unless it's themed. For example, if there was one specifically for weddings, it would be really weird if someone was selling, something not wedding related at the event. But that kind of is going to allow you to gauge how many people are going to be there and overall how successful that event is going to be. And a lot of times if that event is attached to a bigger event like music or something like that, sometimes people aren't really there to shop anyway. Sometimes those people are there to see, you know, whatever band is playing, and they don't care about the vendors.
We've just grown used to your type of humor. Good, good. That's good for society. You're not sensitive. That's good. Oversensitivity is ruining this country.
I'm sensitive.
I don't care.
I'm used to
I've been
this.
married to you for 8 years. If you're sensitive to my stuff, we got a problem.
I'm sensitive.
Let's see here. I had customers talking smack about my products and start telling another person about the store down the street that had better products. Well, screw that person. They're horrible.
Yeah, if it's to customers, that's one that I wouldn't let slide. If they're just kind of like talking smack to their assistant or another booth beside you, honestly, I think that you should let your character shine through. If they're willing to talk smack about you, it probably means that they're not showing the best presence in their own booth. So rather than focus on what they're saying, provide the very, very best service to the people that are coming to your booth, because those people are going to go to their booth, realize what type of person they are, feel uncomfortable with them, go to your booth and realize that you are a warm and genuine person, and nobody's going to think badly of you. They're going to think badly of the person who is just trash talking. So that's just one thing to kind of consider. Anything?
I had a troll in the booth next to me selling trendy clothes and offered to help me fill in orders from an original crochet pattern. Yeah, I mean, the thing is you got to troll the troll. You just have to learn to be the better troll.
Yeah, you know, that's one of those cases where I just, you know, when people
tame compared to my husband, only on the live stream.
Only on the live stream.
I only do that because about half of you would be gone if I was the real me on the live stream.
He is he's kind and loving, and he is a great husband
to my family.
To his family. But when people make Mr. Moore mad,
you only live once. You only live once. Be yourself. That's it. I'm myself. I'm nice on the stream for her sake.
He's an angry veteran. He is an angry veteran.
Oh, don't throw that crap around. They're going to come and take my guns away. You keep with that crap.
He's an angry veteran. Well, not that kind of angry veteran. He's an angry veteran who is tired of people whining because he has seen worse. He's seen the worst conditions that human beings could possibly live in. He's seen people struggle during war times, and he has seen children go through things that children should never go through. So when people whine about...
So when people get offended because I say the word shit, I don't care. I really don't care.
You have to understand the position that he's coming from. So
okay. Anyway,
not that I'm trying.
On to the happy things. Stop it. Let me talk about boobs or something. All right. Thanks for doing these videos. Personally, I respect a person who speaks their mind. Thank you. Good.
Awesome. Because
you are not a quote unquote snowflake.
Because I always get nervous. With
what will you do if you see another person selling in their booth items you design? Items. I'm assuming you mean that you design makes me so angry. If somebody's selling something that I design right next to me, well, you answer that.
Oh, if somebody...
my butt.
If somebody, I would just walk up to them and ask them what inspired that design. Like, very kindly. I would be like, wow, that's really cool. I sell something really similar. What inspired your design? You know, you have to be nice, because you don't want them to perceive you as being like aggressive, but at the same time, you need to let them know that you are aware. For example, if I see somebody replicating an exact design of mine on Etsy, I go and favorite that item, because if they know me, they know my name. I'm the highest rated skeleton key seller on Etsy. Being
passive aggressive.
I will go and like that item to let them know that I see them. I see you. And I don't do anything else. I don't message them. I don't threaten them. I just like their item. And it's funny to me. I just kind of giggle when I do it. So
let's see here. I have a big crochet that the people like to take pictures with. I always ask them to tag me.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Post. So yeah, for sure. Exposure is good, regardless of how you get it.
Put up a little sign, like maybe get a banner printed, or put a little sign up that says, post this on social media, use the hashtag, and then do your like business name or something. That way you're actually able to kind of build off of like their experience. People love to do that. They love to take selfies with like something specific to that event, and they like using that event hashtag. I've done that. We did BealCon with the dragon. So let's see here. Okay. I've
not done a vendor show yet, but I've organized several for Project 22. Too many. Our vendors always donated to the cause after that day was over. Do you recommend vendors do that? Yeah. There's nothing wrong with doing.
Project 22. Are you talking about 22 veterans that take their life every
day.
Every day. What it was?
Is it every hour? I
or
think
every
it's
hour?
every day.
Every hour, every day. I can't remember. It's not every hour.
A lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
I was at one of the #1 bases for suicide. So
yeah, we lost a lot of people at that base. But yeah, in term, yeah, absolutely though.
People
especially
I personally knew, shit was crazy out there.
Yeah, it was really bad. We lost a lot of people because the work that he did,
the work environment was really toxic, to say the least, on top of the really crappy things we had to do anyway.
Right. His line of work was so stressful that a lot of people, they
couldn't handle it. And the stress of you got to consider, you have a highly stressful job, and then you have toxic leadership on top of it. And then you have people that are working, 7 to 7. So spouses cheating was really big.
It was so big.
The divorce rate out there is 70 to 80%. It was really high. So
yeah, it was really bad. But
people don't understand that in the military, sometimes you're going to finish a 12-hour, 14-hour workday, and somebody's going to come up to you and say, hey, I need you to do this before you leave. And it could end up being a 17-hour workday, and then your spouse thinks you're cheating on them, that kind of thing. That's really common.
Yeah, it's really sad. Contact, if you live near a military base, try to contact event coordinators for military bases, because they do often have really great events where you can either donate products.
And don't be, if you're not associated with the military at all, don't be intimidated. Most of the time they just run a simple background check. It's not really a background check. They run for warrants and stuff like that.
Right.
They run your driver's license. They give you a visitor's pass, as long as they're not in a condition that doesn't allow you on base. If you drive up to the base and they're in full body armor with machine guns, then you're probably not going to be allowed on.
Right. Exactly.
That's just safety. But
that's only during certain exercises. PTSD suicide 2022 every day. Yeah.
Yeah. See, Moonstruck, I love you that you care about your alpha so much and that you're sensitive to different sensibilities, but honestly, the people that matter don't mind.
I know that. The thing is,
I dumb it down for you guys. I really try to dumb it down as much as I can.
The thing is, we have a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds, and though we poke fun, the thing is, we love everybody. We genuinely like people, and we genuinely. Here's the thing: right now, the Handmade Alphas, despite the fact that I'm working on the academy, which I wouldn't have started unless you guys specifically asked me to, that was never even something that I ever considered doing. I never knew that anybody wanted something like that. So hold on.
Sure. Oh, giraffe in a bath. I think you might have your hands down on your keyboard. Either that or you asked the question and I'm ignoring it. No. A little Maya.
I don't know. But anyway, the thing is, we are right now working 2 jobs and one we're not getting paid for. My channel is not monetized yet because YouTube is backlogged, and we're pretty much putting more time into the Handmade Alphas than we are with the handmade business, simply because we want to make sure that we're touching as many lives as we possibly can. And I know that for some of us, or for some of you, we're not your cup of tea. I know that for some of you, we, speak our minds a little bit too much, I guess you could say. But I want you guys to know that we genuinely care about you, simply because we lived in an environment where we couldn't just do what we needed to do, or if an emergency popped up, we weren't able to take care of ourselves. We lived in a house with black mold for about a year, and it almost killed him. We had the flooring in the house was completely unfinished. Our bed frame was full of black mold, and we were sleeping in it. We could not afford food. We had to rely on Dollar Tree, and his parents went to food pantries.
And I mean, even at this point, we're still just barely above paycheck to paycheck. I mean, really.
Well, I mean, we save though. We always have
save.
Money.
Yeah, we have money on the side, but as additional spending money, we don't really have that much.
Right.
So and obviously, we'll inevitably get the question, why are we charging for the course? I mean, you got to consider that she's put
$10,000 into it so far.
10 grand into it, and probably over a couple thousand man hours into just reading and writing and developing that kind of stuff. And it's just, it's for you guys. Obviously, we have to charge for it, because in order to continue providing the content, we got to be able to eat. So
right. And we want to be able to, here's the thing. I want to do the academy because I want to continue making free content for those who cannot afford it, for us to be able to continue making free content and make more free live trainings. For example, you might notice that we're not uploading as frequently as we did. It's because I'm trying to get the academy done. That way I can
Once
make
the academy's done, we're going to have a lot more money to be able to do better things and delve deeper into doing things. For you one-of-a-kind guys, She really wants to do a course for that too. And
really badly.
Like we want to be able to,
vintage.
We want to be able to cover all the bases, but cover them properly. That's why I know a couple of people got a little, not like you weren't offended, but you were a little upset that, obviously this isn't going to be for you guys, you one of a kind and vintage sellers. But the thing is that she would rather provide content that's specifically for you than something that's just general, because then nobody's getting the best information for them. They're just getting some information.
Right. I'm telling you, like, it's not one of those like money things where we're going to try to make as many sales as possible. If it's not for you, I will tell you it's not for you. And if you go and buy it anyways, I will give you a warning. And I'll probably refund your money about it. I mean, if you're just you're going to take this course and you don't care about my warning, then that's fine. But, I'm not out for the money. I'm out for helping you guys. And I want to be able to create more free trainings.
It's just the cherry on top. Like,
I want to be able
to have.
I want to be able to do this for a freaking living, I want to be able to not worry about it. So anyway.
I should have a PSA at the beginning saying snowflakes beware. See, I'm still kind of trying to back off a little bit. I have a bit of a self-control issue with that kind of stuff because I legitimately don't care, but she does.
I do.
And it does affect business. So I am trying to learn to back off, but it's really hard for me because I've always been in like death metal bands. That's the environment that I grew up in.
His bros.
My bros. And then I went through all the stuff in the military, which my sensitivity level just like dropped. I don't care about pretty much anything anymore. Right. But
he genuinely cares about people. That's one thing.
I do. I really do. I just don't give a crap about their opinion. I really don't. Like, I wish you all the healthiest and healthy lives, and I hope that you guys have the greatest businesses. And I'm working hand in hand. I mean, the website itself is all me. I'm putting time and effort into this as well. I do legitimately care about you guys. It's just that if somebody's offended by something, I just don't care.
Right.
Somebody being offended, think of it this way. Somebody being offended is a them problem, not a you problem.
Now,
if it didn't offend you, then it most likely wasn't offensive, except for in extreme circumstances.
Like racism and really like awful things.
Like if a curse word offends somebody, that's a them problem, not a you problem.
Right.
But if it's in front of their kid, that's one thing. Like I don't like I'll curse in front of my kid. I don't like other people cursing in front of my kid.
Right.
But like if it's just like me one-on-one with another adult in the bar and they're like, oh, you shouldn't say that. It's like, yeah, kiss my butt. But but anyway, happy thoughts. Happy thoughts. No butt buttons. What did I call it?
No butt buttons.
Munch my what did I say?
My butt button?
No.
Was it?
Fudge button.
Fudge button. Ew.
Yeah, munch my fudge button.
I asked you not to say it. Domestic platypus did this. Oh, gross.
You go, Mark.
Everyone.
But we do. We love you guys. We want to provide the best content we can. And unfortunately, we have to charge to be able to do that because we got to eat. Our kids got to go to school and have clothes and all that kind of stuff.
We have to have. There are expensive
If I could live and have whatever, like this computer that's sitting next to me for editing video footage and stuff like that, this thing costs well over $5,000.
Yeah.
The one that she's using cost like $3,000 or $4,000. We have one upstairs that I think that one was like $2,500, and we're nowhere near done.
Yeah.
Not even close. We need cameras and audio equipment and stuff like that to make the best material that we can. Obviously, you guys would probably be fine with like PowerPoint slides and just some audio overdubs. But the thing is that's not gonna leave a lasting and building community. Like that's not somebody on the outside that isn't one of you. Misheard even better. Somebody on the outside looking in isn't going to see that and say, wow, I want to do that. They're going to say, oh, wow, that's lazy. That's a PowerPoint presentation. Like we want to use the real tools that real developers use that we know how to use. We've just never been able to afford. And as the course progresses, the first time around, it's still going to be a little bit rough around the edges, but that's going to give us the money. Like most of the money that comes from our first release is going right back into it.
Right.
So we're going to be upgrading audio equipment, upgrading video equipment, spending time fixing and beta and all that. A lot of crap goes on behind the scenes, but
and I want to do bigger like lessons at the end, like bonus modules,
more bonuses.
Right. I want to be able to, I had a really cool idea because we live really close to a bunch of Amish communities. And I thought about they're probably not going to take me very well with my crazy hair piercings and tattoos. However,
it didn't seem to mind last time we stopped at one of their cookie booths.
No, they were really sweet.
We have Amish cookie booths out here.
I thought about trying to maybe coordinate with one of the Amish events and actually do an interview about what it's like to live handmade, to completely live like 100% handmade. And I just think that talking to talking to them about it and actually getting that perspective of where their entire life is handmade would be something that is just really interesting. I think that that's something that a lot of people could kind of, I don't know. I think it's inspiring. So it's something I would, things like that, things that I know are going to take a lot of time and money to be able to produce, but I want to do it because I think that it's going to help most of our alphas.
And most people are saying they're okay with paying and that kind of thing. Well, the thing is that it's not like your normal training program, like where it's go do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, do that. Like
it's forever growing. We're never going to stop.
It's not only that, but she gives you the explanations as to why you're doing specific things. Like for some of you, it's going to be information overload, but that's good. It's a lot more than just like do this with your listings and do this for this and do this for that. Like she gives you the reasons why.
It's like
it's not just a step by step. It's like here's the steps. Here's why you need to do the steps. Here's the science behind those steps. Like,
right.
She gives you all of it.
Here is the psychology.
Which is why it's taking for freaking ever to get done, because there's a lot of, she has literally more than a textbook's worth of information already written.
Right.
So imagine how like getting that all recorded in a month is going to be freaking crazy, because it takes her like an hour to read a module to me.
We have Amish. Oh, apple butter days.
Apple butter.
Oh
my
apple
God,
butter days.
Apple butter.
We have Amish apple butter festivals.
I miss the Amish. I don't think I've ever heard that said ever.
I miss the Amish. I don't know. I really love going to like the little
I hate being stuck behind a cart for like 30 minutes when there's no freaking pass lane and there's people coming on the other side. That sucks.
Or not wanting to spook their horse. Like,
oh no, that's funny.
That's not funny.
It's funny. Buy a car.
I love horses.
Religious intolerance for the win. But for real though, they have great desserts out here. They have like cake and pasta, which we ended up not eating because we forgot we had it. They do like handmade pastas and stuff like that. They're really cool. We have literally just been chatting for like the past 30-40 minutes on here.
All right, guys. We
got to hop off here because we got to get our kiddo off the bus, though.
Does anyone have any final questions in our last 5 minutes before we go get our child off the bus? The Amish idea, while you guys are finishing up questions, that's just like an idea. I don't even know if they would want to be on camera. Like, I know that we've had
of course
local.
Not. You're a harlot.
Well, yeah, with all of my crazy tattoos and things, they might be kind of terrified of me. But it's like just one of those ideas that I have. I have a lot of really great ideas. And I also want to do, for those of our alphas.
I have the best ideas. They're huge.
I have the best ideas. For those of you who are in Ohio, we really want to do a big Ohio meetup later on. So that's something.
I have great bread.
That's something that I would really like to do in the future too. So, all right, guys.
They get pulled over for buggying while drinking.
Oh, buggying while drinking. That's funny.
I mean, it's still dangerous. Like,
yeah, it is.
Like for one, you're in control of a car. For two, you're in control of an animal.
Amazing neighbors, always there to help you.
It's considered vanity. It depends. We're not going to get into all that religious stuff, but it depends.
Yeah, some don't.
Most Amish don't believe in just banning all technology. They ban what isn't necessary.
Right.
So like most of the Amish around here own a truck because it's necessary. If they have to drive an hour and a half away to get supplies, they can't spend 3 freaking days on a horse and buggy getting there.
Right.
I'll just say a silent prayer for you.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I'm okay with that. All right, guys. Any final questions in our last few minutes?
Yeah,
Alpha
Sherry,
World Tour.
Sherry, I had a customer who implied that they wanted to make something similar to my product and started taking pictures of my product. How would you have handled that?
You have the right to say, please don't take pictures. Stores can do it.
Yeah, you can say no. Like it becomes a touchy subject because technically if you're outside, it's public domain. If it's in your front yard, anywhere, technically it's public domain. So it's one of those things where you respectfully ask them to not do that.
Right. What are they going to do?
It's
are they going to say, no, thank you, I'm going to take pictures anyway? If you ask them nicely, most of the time they will stop. I mean,
if they don't stop, just get the security and the event organizer and they'll boot those people out and they won't be allowed back in.
Alpha World,
huge these days. Huge.
Alpha World Tour. For those of us not in Ohio, we've actually thought about. We've got some friends in Arizona, so we're also considering Arizona too for for an alpha trip, but we haven't decided yet. We'll figure it out. That's a long way off because I mean, getting plane tickets for myself, my husband, and our 6-year-old daughter, or trying to choreograph a babysitter for.
We have some other ideas as far as travel is concerned that I'm not going to delve into, but
yeah, we're working on it. We got some ideas. We want to do some big meetups for you guys.
Funding is obviously the biggest problem there. Like if we're gonna drive cross country, like that costs money, hotels, plane tickets,
the space for the event,
especially in places where a lot of people are going to be gathered, like big cities in California and Texas and Florida and Georgia, places like that. So,
all right, guys. I couldn't afford any blogging or selling webinars, etc. yet. Hopefully in the future after selling. That's why I want to create the free trainings that will allow you guys to seek higher education. The thing is, when I first started out, I completely relied on free trainings. That's how I found Renee. I did all of her free trainings. I watched every single YouTube video. Timothy Adam from Handmade Alphas, he really doesn't YouTube anymore, but back when I first got on Etsy, he was one of the biggest YouTubers of that time. And I remember just binge watching as much as I could for free until I made a little bit of money where I was able to actually support that education, where I was able to buy those courses. And those courses are what saved my life. If it wasn't for HDU.
If you want to be a successful business owner, you have to pursue further education.
And it doesn't need to be us.
It doesn't have to be us. No, we're not saying that. And I would actually honestly recommend staying away from colleges. And they're not going to offer you much as far as an Etsy business comes, or in selling in general. Like marketing, maybe a marketing degree wouldn't hurt, but if you're running a business, you're not going to be doing most of the marketing once you get up to a point where you're making tons of money. So
most Handmade Titan University students say that they learn more in Handmade Titan University than they ever did with their business degree.
And ours is probably going to be the same way.
Right.
Business degrees aren't catered to modern sellers. The colleges are behind the modern days.
And not to mention
an online meetup thing. Does that exist? I think we're kind of doing that now.
Kind of. Yeah.
Maybe. We'll see.
You can't do big, like, huge chat rooms with a lot of people.
No, that just breaks the internet.
Yeah.
But we might do some events in local, but we really do got to go, guys. We really appreciate you guys sticking with us, the 99 people that are left.
And for everybody who has kind of shown your support. I know, like I said, we're not the average, like, Etsy content channel. We aren't, we aren't coming in here with suits in our cute button-up shirts.
We don't just throw you information as soon as we get it. We take the time to research it and give it to you when you need it.
And not only that, we kind of go about things.
Some rumors too.
We go about some things with a sense of humor, and we're always here in our pajamas. So I think that it makes us a little bit more realistic.
Business up top, party down below.
Everybody, that's true. Everybody, I'm wearing my Halloween pajama pants right now. So don't want suits. Yeah, you would not catch him in a suit. Sorry, I don't care if
my neck's too big. I can't. I have to get shirts that are too big for me to get a neck that's big enough to fit my big old fat neck.
His neck. He has a really, really big.
It's my traps.
All right, guys. Thank you. Hopefully you learned a lot about actual event planning, rather than just our rambling. I apologize that this went on so long. So thank you guys so much for watching.
I can go nap now.
We'll have some updates for you soon about the Alpha Academy. I don't know what the schedule is for next Friday, what we'll be doing for our Q&A, but we'll be sure to keep you posted. So, guys, have an awesome weekend. We love you so much.
Stay toasty, y'all.
See you later.